Welcome to District 73 Masterclass and one of our well-received training sessions, which will be shared today on Speechcraft, Youth Leadership, Speakers Bureau and Speaker to Trainer, and finalising the whole day with accredited speaker. So there are 4 amazing presentations being delivered today. We have guests from internationally, and we welcome Imtiaz from District 20. Thank you for joining us. Welcome. And we have many others on board that are listening not only today in person, but will be listening in future. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for engaging in the District 73 Education and Training Team's Masterclass. Now, the education and training for District 73 is run by Kevin Broughton, Graham Dunlop, and myself. So we've worked together as an education and training trio to bring together these wonderful presentations for all of you to enjoy. So please engage where you can. There was an email that went out to the district, and in it are the upcoming events. So those events are today, which is the Beyond Your Club, different aspects you can engage with, such as the Youth Leadership, Speakers Bureau, Speaker to Trainer and Accredited Speaker Program. But on the 7th of May, we've got All Things Pathways, and the 18th of June, we have a contest and judging workshop. So in the email that went out, there are some incredible statistics. So please refer back to an email on the 9th of April for reference in regard to that. And looking forward to all of you engaging in our incredible session today. Now, our first presenter is our keynote. Now, Sheryl Roush is before I go any further, there are lots of downloadable resources, and they will be sent throughout the day by Graham, who will provide them in the chat box. And those downloadable resources are helping you to benefit all of the different aspects of the training, and they help to broaden your knowledge. So hearing it all in person today is great, but having the resources will certainly help you and support you even further. All right, I'm not sure, Graham, if you actually have access now to the link for Sheryl. Do you have that?
I do. I shall make that available, and yeah.
So, just before you do, Sheryl Roush is a dynamic presenter. She is a DTM, a past district governor, and an accredited speaker. And she is a professional speaker based in New York, and her subject expertise includes attitude, communication, and marketing. So she really increases the knowledge with all of her workshops. She boosts on communication skills. So looking forward to hearing her presentation today. Over to you, Kevin. Over to you, Graham, to share the resource. Thank you.
Actually, Kevin's just come back online. There we go.
Terrific.
You might be sitting there thinking, is there life outside of Toastmasters? Is there something I can do outside of my club? I'm so glad you asked. I'm Sheryl Roush, Distinguished Toastmaster, past District Governor of District 5 in San Diego, California in the States. I'm also an accredited speaker, and I sure hope that you'll pay attention to my session a little bit later, because when you're talking about beyond the club, let's talk about becoming a professional speaker. In this very special District 73 education and training event, you are going to be learning about Speechcraft, youth leadership, speakers bureaus, and how you can participate in them, as well as Speaker to Trainer, one of my absolute favorite modules, as well as, of course, the accredited speaker. So let me tell you a little bit about my story, hopefully that it will inspire you to look outside of your club, beyond the club, beyond Toastmasters, and truly to apply your skills. When I first joined Toastmasters, and it was March 15th, 1987. Okay, quick math. It's 35 years. Thank you. And that's when you say, oh, Cheryl, you don't look that old. Bless you. I thank you very much. I was invited to attend an event at a club at a Mexican restaurant in San Diego, and we are known for our authentic Mexican food. And who am I to turn down a free meal? However, it was 7 o'clock in the morning. Oh my gosh, I don't even get up until well after that. Perhaps you've had that experience too. Well, the lady who invited me at the Chamber of Commerce meeting, she said, I'll buy you breakfast. It's a communication and leadership series. And as a business owner, because I owned my own graphic design studios, she asked me what were my greatest challenges. Well, being the owner of a business where all of my employees were more senior to myself, my greatest challenge was giving feedback to them with respect and to make sure that we had good feedback on that. And how can we continue to serve our clients? So she invited me to this program. I knew that when I stepped in the door, I found my home. I found my tribe. I found my people. Little did they know that I had just filed for divorce a short time before I walked through those doors. My husband was alcoholic, abusive, and threatened to take my life 3 times. I had no self-esteem, no self-worth, no voice. Thanks to walking through those doors that morning, I found everything I'd been looking for. And here that is 35 years ago. By the way, that program that she invited me to, it was Speechcraft. I strongly support District 73 and Australia overall in continuing the strong Speechcraft programs that you have historically and currently do conduct. These are life-changing events for people. And with Speechcraft, I would not be delivering this message for you today had it not been for the personal invitation bringing me into the club. What we do with the skills that we learn inside of this organization, we need to apply, though, outside of the organizations, beyond and well beyond the club. So from Speechcraft, then, I did become, Sergeant at Arms and Bulletin Editor, received several awards for marketing through Toastmasters International. And as part of the Distinguished Toastmaster program, today you can either do a Speechcraft or you can do a youth leadership program. At that particular time, we needed to do a youth leadership program. And I don't know about you, but working with kids today, it could be really tough. It was the last thing on my list to tick off before I earned my designation. I thought, okay, I'm going to do this youth leadership program. And I tell you, it was life-changing for me. I worked with 15, 16, 17-year-old young women in San Diego from very diverse cultural backgrounds and working with them in their communication skills. And as a result of that, one young lady in the group who had been raped in high school started writing about her feelings. She became self-published. She started speaking out about date rape and went back to the high school and delivered one of the graduation presentations. We never know whose lives we're going to help transform. Again, beyond the club. Joining the Speakers Bureau inside of District 5 helped me to not only get outside of my club, but my area, my division, my district, and that I could start giving longer presentations, still receive manual credit for them, by the way, and then speaking for free led to becoming a paid professional speaker. So if that's a journey that you're on, boy, do I celebrate that with you. As you're looking at the advanced modules and other programs that you can present, and I sure hope that you pay attention to today's message about from speaker to trainer. Again, it's one of my absolute favorites. It helped me to stretch beyond myself and my own skills giving longer presentations and presenting programs, again, outside, beyond the club, if you will. Now, the accredited speaker journey, I don't know. There was something that clicked in me pretty early on, probably within the first year of joining Toastmasters, that I thought, wow, people get paid to have this much fun? Yes, we do. And I thought, wow, this is great. So there's a program that I do for later on today that it is about becoming an accredited speaker. And I sure hope that you start that journey, because how can you become more influential and help others transform their own lives? Now, there's a few things that you can do well beyond the club. So, for instance, I took a look at my own journey, and I've shared this as it relates to today's program, but you could also start a business along the way. For me, at that particular time when I joined Toastmasters, I was a business owner. And let's see, I've created a couple more businesses after that, all communications related. You could write a book or two or three or 17. It's never been easier to create a publication today. So you could write a book, something that you're very passionate about, and perhaps a subject matter expert too. You could become a spokesperson for one of your local organizations. You could join one of the other speaker bureaus for other associations and speak on their behalf as well. What about applying those leadership skills? How are you applying them at work? And how are you applying them outside of work, outside of Toastmasters, perhaps with charity organizations? As a benefit of serving in leadership in Toastmasters International, I've been able to apply those skills that I've learned here in New York, where I just moved 1 year ago. I'm very active with the largest charity organization here, similar to Rotary. It's called Sertoma, and it is about hearing loss. And everything in the community and all the charity that we raise goes back into supporting this particular community. Very enriching for me, very fulfilling. I've also joined the local Chamber of Commerce to see that how can I step up as a leader in this community? All the skills that we've learned in Toastmasters, we can apply in the real world. And that's my message here for you today. If you want to become a professional speaker, pursue the accredited speaker designation. And Australia has the first. We're looking for more. The red carpet is rolled out for you. So pay attention to that program a little bit later too. I can share with you that in the 35 years of my membership, not a day goes by in my personal or professional life that I am so very thankful for this organization, everything that I've learned. It's one thing to learn it for yourself. It's another to help bring more siblings into our global family. How are you stretching? How are you inviting people into our global family? How are you sharing the benefits that you have received from your own membership with other people that you know could benefit from it? So my message to you today, my fellow cherished Toastmasters, is what's next beyond your club? And as Big Kev knows, I'm a big Star Trek fan. So my message to you is boldly go. Live long and prosper, my friends.
Well, thank you, Cheryl. That was an incredible presentation, very dynamic, and wow, we are honored to have you on board. So thank you for joining us today. We will certainly be looking forward to the rest of your presentation a little bit later today, but let's move on to our next guest presenter, and this is our Speechcraft segment. So Emma Hiscock is an MBA, a GAICD, and a BN. So if you don't know what they are, you'll have to ask Emma. She's also in Toastmasters, a DTM. She's the Speechcraft coordinator and part of the Zoom team. So she's still engaged, interactive, and very much involved in the district. We certainly enjoy having Emma on board. Emma is involved with her professional life with the University of South Australia as a rural academic within the Department of Rural Health and online course coordinator for that section. She's had the position of Manager of Rural Health and Clinical Education and Clinical Operations in the School of Nursing and Midwifery. So she's got a keen interest in developing health professionals and students. So with working with the uni, it's allowed her to develop valuable relationships with host sites and those within. So today, Emma has been the Speechcraft coordinator since 2019. And during this time, she has supported numerous Speechcraft courses and the development of several Speechcraft coordinators. She's keen to support clubs in exploring and delivering the new Speechcraft platform. Looking forward to hearing Emma Hiscock. Welcome, Emma.
Thank you, Sue. That's a really lovely introduction, and she's better than what I can normally write. So that's great, wonderful. And thank you everyone for having me here today to talk to you about Speechcraft. Although you will find out during this presentation that I actually have a hidden agenda. So I'm glad that you're all here. I know how many are online, so you can't run away. I'll bring up my presentation. We tested this before. Let's see if I've got it. Oh, it's reverted back, hasn't it? Hang on, display settings, swap. There you go. You all should be able to see my full picture and not the notes, correct? I can't see anyone else, so you just have
Correct.
to. Yeah, it looks good. All right,
Okay.
excellent, excellent, wonderful. Okay, so welcome. As Sue alluded to, I am the South Australian Speechcraft Coordinator. I've been doing it since 2019, and I was involved with Speechcraft obviously before that as well. Let's give you a bit of an overview of what I'm going to touch on today. Talk a little bit about what Speechcraft is all about. There's going to be some brainstorming. That's my hidden agenda. So I'm looking forward to the interaction. Now I'll talk about some options, and then obviously jumping on to the next steps. Just a little bit about Speechcraft. I'm just looking at the faces online. Most of you will be familiar with the previous version, which was in the manual format, and we've now moved to the online platform and present, so it's mimicking the pathways set up as well. And I guess with everything in today's life, we're all moving towards that online presence. So we've got everything at our fingertips. As long as we bring our laptop along to meetings, we'll be fine. It's my challenge at work at the moment. I tend to leave my paper notebook I might have left somewhere else, and if I didn't bring my laptop, well, I don't have any of my notes with me, so I'm still struggling. Okay, now this one here, you should be able to annotate on the screen, and what I'm keen to know is, are you a Speechcraft graduate? And if you can't annotate on the screen, just what do I say, pop it in the chat so I can have a look. But I'm keen to know, are you a graduate? Have you been a coordinator or participated as a helper, delivered some of the roles? Never experienced it? Maybe you've managed to get through your Toastmaster life without having to attend Speechcraft? Or have you delivered the new online Speechcraft? I can't see any of the chat functions. Here we go. I'll bring that up. Graduate, coordinator, helper. And you've delivered the new digital version, Kev. Excellent, good. Old version, Nola, good. Carl. Excellent, new and old. Old one, Graham, yep. Never, Anne, fresh to it, excellent. And a long time ago, Graham. Wonderful, thank you, that's great. Well, I'm going to tell you what I am on all of these. I am a Speechcraft graduate. When I started in Toastmasters, there was a Speechcraft course starting pretty soon. And my, I guess my club mentor and Toastmaster mentor as well said to me, Emma, you should just do this. This will just basically power charge you through and get you ahead of the rest of the new members who joined our club. I thought, fantastic. I'm someone who's all about wanting to have that experience, that skills, that knowledge, and getting it in a more of a, I guess, a condensed time frame rather than dragging it out because it takes so long. And so I thought, right, I'll do this. And I actually found by doing the Speechcraft course, I was ahead of the other new members. I progressed through my confident communicator and then started to get through the manuals and into the real nitty-gritty stuff. And I thoroughly obviously enjoyed it, so much so that I put my hand out to help, you know, run some of the courses, in that I got to start off as a timer. I've done the Toastmaster role, got to do some evaluations, and then jump up into that presenter role. So it had that development stage. Whilst I was developing myself as a speaker, I was actually developing myself as a presenter and a coordinator of events. So I was learning a lot more skills. I then got to run one of them, which was like, oh my goodness. And I thought, how am I going to be able to do this? Because it feels like a lot of work. I usually find once you've done something for a bit, you get into a bit of a groove. So anything you deliver then afterwards is a lot easier because you've sort of, you know it, so you can skim through things. And then you're better able to support, as I do in my role as the Speechcraft coordinator for the state, I can then support new Toastmasters who are new to Speechcraft in actually delivering the course, where I can step them through it, because they might look at the materials and go, oh my gosh, where do I start? How am I going to deliver this? But having that skill and knowledge, I'm able to guide and support and then develop them so that they're able to support their club members if they choose to take it on. So I was never new to it, but I was when I first started. Have I delivered the new version? No, not at all. That sounds interesting, doesn't it? And I guess we'll talk a bit more about that on the next page, but no new versions. And I wonder why. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's click over to here. So what's it all about? Well, there is the online platform. It's all moved to there, or you can download your resources, download your materials. Toastmasters, when they've International, when they first released the online version, had a really good webinar session where they talked through it and explained all of the steps that was involved. It looked pretty good. It looked actually quite exciting. And as I said before, once you've done it once or twice, easy to pick up those skills, knowing where to go and what to click. But it's learning a new set. The other good thing about this online Speechcraft program is that you can get credit for your speeches. So if you've got new members who are joining, or maybe those who just want to develop their public speaking skills and you want to encourage them to, say, join the club, they're going to get some credit for all their hard work rather than having to go back to the beginning and start from scratch again, which will link into some of my options a little bit later. So keep that in the back of your mind. If you're the Speechcraft coordinator, that's actually another step towards your DTM. So there's benefits all along the different levels for all Toastmasters along the way. There are a number of resources that TI have available, and these do hyperlink in my PowerPoint. However, what I'll do after I finish speaking is I'll upload the links into the chat so you can save them yourself. There is a short Speechcraft video that goes for 1 or 2 minutes, and she just talks you through it. It sounds really good. It's quite engaging, actually. They've got a really nice marketing flyer that you can that clubs can then use. And I'll just talk about the marketing part a little bit more. With the online version, it's really, I've actually found that it's really pushed back to the clubs to manage and deliver, because all the resources are available online. That coordinator has to go through the portal in order to access all of the materials and then run it. So I can't run it for the clubs. They need to run it, otherwise I get lots and lots of credit. There is an overview of the speech credits as an actual flyer that will show you, and I don't dare try and change any of my screen settings at the moment because I've got a fear that I will lose you. But basically it shows that as you complete, I think it's up to about 7 speeches, you get, well, obviously it says 0 speeches, you get nothing. So you complete the 6 speeches, it'll give you credit through the pathway, and it actually gives you a couple of the level 3 electives as well, which I think is pretty amazing. And I'm thinking, gosh, maybe I should do Speechcraft again now so I can charge ahead. There's a coordinator guide that will show you screenshots of what you need to do, how you need to access the materials. There's a participant guide as well that will show them again, those screenshots. Because I guess when we used to have the manuals, we'd be able to sit down with them, you could step them through, they could have it in their hot little hands and look at it. Whereas now if you say to someone, we have to access it through a portal, a lot of people go, so where do I go now? And then they feel as though they get lost clicking on things. Whereas now they've got this nice guide, you can have a look at it, and that will help the participant and the coordinator navigate their way through. You can sign up to some of their webinars. So if you want to know a bit more and go a bit deeper into it, I recommend doing that. And then there's another link to another page on TI site, which lists some more information about Speechcraft and the other types of programs that are delivered. I should have told you that if you had questions, you can always interrupt me and ask them along the way. Otherwise, I'll just keep talking.
Were any dogs harmed in the making of that image?
Hey, you're in the making of that image.
Were any dogs harmed in the making of that image?
No. And I was trying to work out how I could have gotten my dog into this picture. He's actually on the floor. He's curled up, but he's never quite gotten stuck. He has flung off the seat though before.
No one is going to read the text when you've got a photo like that, can I say, Emma?
Hey, you can't read. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Well, look, this is my stuck moment. Okay. So I've seen that a couple of you have delivered some of the online versions. In South Australia, not aware of any of the clubs who've actually delivered the online version. If they have, they haven't told me, even though it's supposed to keep me in the loop. And I'm going to throw it out there because I've communicated out over the last couple of years to clubs saying, hey, the new online version's available. Are you keen to deliver it? But we're in that stuck situation. We're stuck. And the comments that had come back was that they didn't have the skills. Their membership base was at the more junior level. They found it challenging to start comprehending how to deliver it. And there were other reasons, such as the incentives to deliver Speechcraft had obviously come down a little bit, and that came around the fundraising rules as well. What was seen as something that we could use as a revenue earner, so we could do more with our clubs, it was, severely cut back. So everyone got into that stuck frame set. You think, gosh, Speechcraft's a really good program. Can we get it moving? How could we actually do it? Do we need to start thinking a little bit differently about it? And I'm hoping that all of you have had enough time with me that you've got an idea maybe in the direction that I'm going to be going in. It didn't help that we had COVID, which is now around and will probably be around for quite a long time. But I'm not sure if you've seen this, I think this was Galaxy Quest, which is a bit scary because when I was listening to Sheryl speaking before and she talked about Star Trek, I thought, oh my gosh, I've got Galaxy Quest up here. And I had this saying in there, which was never give up and never surrender. So I'm someone who if I'm faced with a challenge, well, I never give up and I never surrender either. I look at it and I think, gosh, we might be stuck, and that's from a South Australia perspective. I'm not sure how Victoria and Tassie are going, but I always believe that there's a solution. There's a way to advance to that next level, or maybe do things a little bit differently. Which leads us into the lovely brainstorming session. And I should check the time because I've lost my clock. Good. I think I've got time. This is good. Excellent. I love brainstorming. And, you know, you can have this exciting part over there where your ideas, planning, collaborating. And sometimes with brainstorming, you just end up hitting your head on the desk because you feel as though you're not progressing any further. So what I'm going to do is, I was going to break this out into a couple of rooms. I'll just stop share so I can properly see everyone. And I've got a feeling we should be able to do this as a group, if you're all happy. So Graham, we won't need to go into breakout rooms. I've got to look in 2 spots at the moment here. But what I'm really keen to do is get some thoughts. Speechcraft isn't moving, I'll be honest. In South Australia, it's not getting up there and it's not moving. So I'm really keen to hear what your ideas might be. I want you to think like utopia, think big, think ridiculous. And the reason I say that is because sometimes people go, oh, no, we can't do that. And that would be really bad. That'd be all a bit silly. But if you throw in all of those huge ideas and the silly ones as well, you're then able to flesh it out and go, well, actually, these are the ones that will really work. And it just helps get the brain juices going. So, and I tell my students that as well. I say, think big, think ridiculous. Except that did backflip on me because one of them said, well, you want us to do utopia? And I went, well, yes and no. I said, because sometimes utopia won't work, but this will at least help you show that utopia won't work and it'll give you an actual solution. I went, oh, and I thought, okay, good. So I'm going to open the floor. You can throw the words out, obviously out loud, or if you want to pop it in the chat, that would be great. Thanks, Kevin. Grafthus hammer. Oh my goodness. And the Sons of Warven. Oh, that's lovely. You shall succeed.
You have to be really careful when you start making geek quotes and references. Just be careful how geeky your audience is.
Well, yeah, I knew I'd be safe here. It's a sad thing. All right, so I'm going to stop speaking and throw the ideas out. And if you don't have any, that's fine, because I've come up with some.
Invite everyone who's ever delivered Speechcraft in the past to attend as a participant on the new digital version so that they can experience it and see how it works.
Yep.
Yes.
And
Nola, you had one?
For it.
I'd probably have ridiculous. The people who really need Speechcraft are the people who think that they don't need Speechcraft. And that is our biggest stumbling block, I think. We had a gentleman attend our Speechcraft, and he only came to one because he said there was nothing that he was learning. Now, I'd been a Toastmaster for 12 years at the time, and I was learning, but this gentleman who could not express himself eloquently gave it up after a week. So my question really is, how do you get through to people that they're not as good as they think they are? Or is that a bit harsh?
Oh dear, Nola, that's great. And that's funny because I actually think about the what's in it for me. And I get exposed to these people in my work life where they go, I know it all. I don't need to do that activity because I've done a few of them already, and I'm actually here because I'm on this level. And so we actually sit down and say, well, that's great, you're here and you want to be over here. And we actually lay out, I guess, the reality, some home truth, but we also challenge them on their knowledge and their intellectual level as well. And that tends to sort of rein them back in. But that's from obviously a clinical training.
And Emma,
with him, you could challenge him too. Sorry, Carl. Yep.
So I was going to say, what you can do is just say, repeat what you just said again. And do you mind if I record you on my phone? to play back to you. And they'll say, certainly, I'm a really good speaker, and I've done so much of this, and I can give you some really good examples of when I've absolutely stunned the room with my presentation. Play that back to them.
That's a really good idea, actually, Carl, because, and see, that's why I say, you know, throwing all the ideas, because you could actually put it out to, as like a way to sort of advertise Speechcraft, saying, hey, would you, you know, be interested in doing Speechcraft? Do you think you're pretty good? Maybe Speechcraft isn't for you. Have you recorded yourself and play it back? And these are the things we want you to listen for. The ums, the ahs. I listen to the radio and you sit there and you think, oh, how many ums did we have in there? And I think, so I change channels. I go, oh my gosh, I'm flicking away. You know? I'll stop talking. Next. Yep.
I just would like to say, as an anti to the people who think that they're good, maybe we should be targeting the people who are good, and say, because they are going to be the leaders of commerce or our government, hopefully we'll get someone good in there one day, and maybe we need to target people who already have skills so that it can be a win-win. Because when I was involved in Speechcraft, what I learned from the participants was amazing. It's like my youth leadership. Learning is the benefit that you get that you don't really expect, because you're presenting the program, but it's never a one-way thing. So the really getters in this world, maybe we should be approaching large organisations and asking them to give us your best, and let's see if we can make them better.
Oh, I like that. Give us your best and let's see if we can make them better.
Or be more positive than that.
Remove the
Yes, make a positive statement of we can improve on the skills they already have.
watch us make them better.
Yes, thank you, Kevin.
Enhance. Watch us.
I never know what's going to come out of my mouth. I think you run it past yourself before you open your mouth. There's a big difference.
I think, Emma, as well, it's a bit like Pathways. One of the challenges we have now is getting people on board to use the new digital bundle. There's a barrier there. There's an obstacle. People don't understand it. They're scared of it. They may even equate it to Pathways experience in that way. Before, you ordered a booklet, it was sent to you, and all you do is you turn up and you give it out to the people, and turn to page 5 and we'll start. It's simple. Now it's a digital bundle. You have to understand how to navigate it, what the content is, how to get the actual participants in there so that they can access it through their password. I mean, it's all simple, but you just need to know what to do. It's like taking a different way to work than what you normally would. You can still get to work. It's just that you have to think about it a little bit more at first, because it's a new way of getting to work than the old way. But once you've done it for a couple of weeks, then you don't even think about it anymore, that new way to getting to work. So it's the same experience here with Pathways. I think a lot of people are scared of the new digital bundle, and they're also, I think, giving up on it before they start.
Yes, excellent. I might ask. I noticed there was a couple of comments in the chat about council grants and everything. Yeah, that's great. Look, to be honest, the actual Speechcraft bundle was only about $25 US, so it's probably $50 Australian. So it's not much. Yeah.
And also, sorry, Emma, it's also good for the participants to be paying for that, because that's the engagement level. If you just get everything for free, you're going to have people not turning up. They've got no skin in the game. If they have to pay something, even if it's just a small amount, and it's $25, it's well worth it, believe me, for the value you're getting. They've paid, they're more likely to turn up for the sessions.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, skin in the game. Yeah. Actually, I might ask a question then, because I know Carl and Kevin have delivered some of the online Speechcraft bundles. How have you found them? Have they been too corporate groups, or have you delivered it at a club level?
Do you want to go first, Kevin?
Go on then. You can do the positive, I'll do the negative.
Okay, good cop, bad cop. Okay. Do you want to go first?
Go,
Okay.
Kevin. Kevin, speak.
Come on, yeah, go,
All right.
Kevin.
So we delivered it as part of a club exercise to get that familiarization. So we all enrolled.
Yep.
And we got to experiment with how the coordinator elements worked and how you then turn around and what you see online. So we shared screens to see what the experience was, so that we could all see how it happened. But the problem we had was that we spread it out over too long because of our meetings and pathways, and the actual Speechcraft element itself, because you set the dates and the times and you do all of that in advance. There was no flexibility within the program to then be able to alter it. So we never actually finished because the program shut down on us and TI wouldn't open it back up again.
Oh, okay, that's good to know.
So it requires an element of organization, definitely, up front, in terms of what you're doing. And I suggest don't put in actual times that you expect, allow for the contingency of what may occur in terms of dates of when you think it's going to finish, etc.
Excellent, thank you. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, unmute Nola.
I think today is a prime example of how difficult it is to get people to commit to something that's going to be of benefit. I mean, our leadership team have presented today with some of the best presenters in the world, and we have 11 people here. I mean, Emma, you and I are better than that. I would have thought that we would have attracted at least 100 people.
Exactly. I even did my hair.
Well, I did mine, but I'm not sure that it looks as though it's been done. But you know what I'm saying? I feel so disappointed for our team that are working so hard to enhance our Toastmasters experience, and the apathy and the, oh no, I know it all. And I know people have a life outside Toastmasters. I'm not sure that Kevin, Emma,
I don't.
and Sue and all of those people have. But what an opportunity it is for us. And Cheryl's presentation this morning, I mean, how lively and how wonderful. If only we could bottle that and sort of put it in their tea or coffee every day of every Toastmaster in London. Wasn't that wonderful? Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Ah, that'd be wonderful. Thanks. Carl, are you able to share us some of your experiences from your?
Yeah, sure. Just on what Nola was saying, because this will tie in nicely. I think these days, and it's bigger than just Toastmasters, it seems to be endemic in the world today, is that people want shortcuts. They want the easy way. Just give me the quick way. I don't want to turn up to these trainings. Just tell me what it is so I can quickly do it in some way. They don't want to invest. But unfortunately, as we know, skill building does require investment of time and effort to do that. And I think with Speechcraft, and I've had some people in my own club say, oh, can you run a Speechcraft here? Because they think they're going to just be able to then just do the Speechcraft and they won't have to bother being part of the club then, because they'll get all the information right up and it's done. They don't understand that it's more than that, that it's the ongoing experience that you are building on, just not doing a short course, reading a book and now you know how to do public speaking, all this sort of thing. So I think that ties in sometimes with the attitude within Toastmasters. People can't be bothered. They want it the easy way. And that's not going to work. They're going to stay exactly the same as where they are, and clubs will stay the same as where they are. Anyway, just moving on from that, the Speechcraft is a fundamentals course. So it covers the fundamentals of public speaking. And that's the new digital bundle. That's what that covers. It's very much bare bones framework fundamental. You're not going to get more higher level advanced type techniques that you use. If you are getting a very well-versed, experienced presenter, they may weave some of that in because you can lay out your own value on top of the core framework that Speechcraft has. You don't just get up and read through the module exactly as what's there, because otherwise you don't need to be there. People can just read it. The experience I've had is through corporate engagements, doing that. And look, they just accept it. I know when we're dealing with Toastmasters, they don't like the online, they want the booklets and this sort of thing. However, in the corporate, it's like a given.
Yeah.
I talked about, I've told this story many a time. I give out the physical certificates at the end for attendance. And I heard one of the girls turn to another one and say, wow, I haven't had a paper certificate given to me since I was in school. This is the attitude of corporates, and Toastmasters is trying to catch up now. It's not the same experience you might have in clubs, but you go out into the corporate world and they expect you to be on the same level as them. So that's where the digital bundle for Speechcraft really comes into play. You have more control, but as Kevin said, there's a little bit of the coordinator's time setting up at the beginning. There's a lot of setup that you need to do, getting people's email addresses in there so they can get the password to access. There's a whole lot of stuff there. But once they're in there, then that's good. I'll do a bit of good and bad. When I did it last time, there was a couple of people that were having access problems. Not everybody was, just a couple of people. And I thought, oh, here we go. So I put them on to, as they tell you to do, world headquarters. There's someone there that deals with that for Speechcraft. And I thought, how long is this going to take them to get back? And the good is they were extremely quick. They came back within a day or two and they was up ready for the next session. It was a simple solution and it was all sorted out. So the support that I experienced at that time, I don't know if it's going to be replicated every time, was very, very quick in that way. I do find that it's easy then to give the modules to people to read and they can just access it and they can do it on their own time on their own devices, because the corporate people, when they come in, they don't bring pens and paper. They bring tablets, laptops, smartphones. This is what they're using to access and to take notes and things like that. So it's a bit of a different environment than perhaps bringing in people to your club who may be just general public people from the local community. And it's a different sort of environment, as I said. But it's been a pretty good experience. I have had some people say that they're glad that the presenter adds additional value, because they have found some of it very basic that Toastmasters has done. And I think that's, again, suited for someone, general public, perhaps coming in, who's doing a speech for the 21st birthday, is extremely nervous, hasn't done this before. But when you're doing a corporate, where some people are actually talking to their teams already and looking at getting the basics, but really solidifying them and taking it to the next level, I think the presenters do have to add a bit more value than the basics that's in Speechcraft.
Yeah, so we have to have skilled Toastmasters presenting.
Emma?
Excellent. Yes, Austin.
Emma, I maybe, you guys might think that I'm from the old school, but anyway, I have, in my Toastmasters life, I have conducted many Toastmasters, Speechcraft courses, both as helper as well as coordinator. I've delivered many times and I enjoyed it. I always enjoyed it for more than one reason. One, you're getting people educated in public speaking, helping them to, get over their nervousness and things like that and become good speakers. But more than that, what I enjoyed was, it was a good tool to grow the club. After each course, I managed to get 2 or 3, sometimes even 4 new members from one single course. This was many years ago, I'm talking about, when, even pre the free toast. Because at that time, it was all, physical effort to get these people. We had to go to places. We had to physically go and, put flyers all over the place, or talk to people, recruit people for the Speechcraft course. Today, they just look at the website and come to the clubs. But what I'm driving at is, I enjoyed the old system where you had people physically and you were talking to people, and they knew, they could see experienced speakers, how they perform. Online, it is difficult to really gauge that, and really difficult to learn. So as Speechcraft coordinator, I'm wondering whether you could, rather than promote this online thing, which I think is not really working too well, to go back to the old system, where we get a few people, 10 people at the EDC, I'm now talking of South Australia Educational Centre, or we can even have people at our clubs and do the Speechcraft course. So that is where I go. And the other thing is, I don't see much Speechcraft courses being done here right now. One of the reasons may be, and maybe I'm wrong, I've heard that clubs should not make any money out of it. So you see, previously there was the incentive of the club making some money, not too much, not profit, but just getting something for the club. And every club needs money. Well, I might correct myself there. Not every club. Some clubs don't need money, but some clubs, like my club, for instance, we have expenses, because we meet in an expensive venue. So getting a little money out of Speechcraft is an incentive too. So these are little things that you may have to think of as Speechcraft coordinator.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Austin. Thank you. And thanks everyone for the chat. I might just move us along a little bit. So just realized I've gone green. Oops. So I have to wrap it up. No, thank you. All of those points have been really interesting and really valuable. And I'll just clarify, with the online version of Speechcraft, it doesn't mean that you can't deliver it in person and have people in the room. It just means, so exactly the same as how we do our pathways. So you can have people bringing their Speechcraft materials are all online, but you can still have them in the room with you, obviously with the COVID restrictions. But I'll just go back to sharing my screen, and some really, really good comments, notes, everything has come through. Just let me go back up here, display. Oh no, it should be on the correct display settings. There we go. All right, so we'll just go on to the next one here. So we talked about
Emma, you
yes,
need to change your settings.
Oh, thank you. I thought it had gone back. There we go. How's that?
No.
Oh, wait a minute. How's that?
Nope.
Is it still showing the
No.
notes?
Yeah.
Wow.
But we've all read that, so you can move on to the next slide.
That's right. I just pulled it out. So just let me. Okay, so you should be able to. Oh, this is a pain. I shouldn't have stopped sharing. I should have kept it up. Here we go. Let's go to here. And from current slide. All right, so you should be able to see this options. Yes, I can't see anyone now.
We can't see
Let me see
anything. Nothing showing now.
What's happened? Oh, this is very
I
annoying.
can't see anything. No.
Hold on. Try now.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right,
Now we
good.
can see. Yep.
Right, okay, so I'm now down with no devices. Good, wonderful. All right, wonderful. I've just lost a few minutes there. Oh well. Okay, so the options. And the things that I like to sort of talk about, and thank you, I'll take away a lot of these notes and I'll summarize it with the next steps. But I like to look at it as that it's our members, that we're developing a family approach, as I like to call it. So we're developing and supporting them. I like Kevin's idea that he'd run it in-house, and that's something that I'm thinking about doing with my club, so that we can then develop their skills in speeches, evaluations, presentations. And at the end would end up with, say, creating a strong foundation and developing an experienced club full of members who would then feel, say, more comfortable to deliver Speechcraft courses. So I'm thinking about bringing it back inside the club, back inside the house, but
Great.
taking on board some of those comments that Kevin had made about the timeframes as well. With that, so we'll go to the next screen. I like this slide. Family again, and it was lovely that Sheryl had alluded to family as well, and I thought, yes, that's how I see Toastmasters. You know, we're a family. We have people who can support. If you've got, say, club members who are junior, you can always draw in people who are experienced. The nice thing is you can even look at doing some hybrid stuff as well. So there's nothing to stop you from going outside your club, outside your division, and extending out throughout the district. So the next steps, and a quick summary, so thank you for everyone for being here today, is I've taken a lot of those comments that you've made. I love the idea of bringing it back in-house, getting the club members to actually run it. I'm actually even thinking of seeing if there's a way we can do what I call a dummy run, where we record going through a Speechcraft session. And like Kevin had alluded to about the sharing of the screens, can actually do that so people can actually see what's happening. And I also like the thoughts with the corporate aspect of it. You know, they'll probably be more interested in accepting the digital platform would be easier for them. But in order for us to be able to go out to the corporate groups, we need to have other Speechcraft coordinators who can come along and deliver the course. Otherwise, it falls to a really small number. And that doesn't, it's a bit draining and can lead to a bit of fatigue. So my thoughts are around building up that membership base, building up the skills and the development skills and experience of our existing club members so that they can then go up to the next level. So that's it from me. I'm sorry about my screen sharing going a bit wonky there, but thank you again for having me and really appreciate it. I'll finish 10 o'clock on the dot. Thanks.
Thank you, Emma. I've just got one quick suggestion. To desensitize people, why don't you gather 10 people or 6 people who actually have been involved with Speechcraft before and just engage them to run through it. So this is your team, and as soon as you've been through it with them, then people will feel a lot more comfortable, and then they can feed out to their teams to go, this is how it's done. It's not as hard as we expected. So just to gather a team of maybe 6 to 10 people and say, let's do it as a team and nut through it. And like Kevin did with his club, I think you will certainly feed out to others, but they have to be from clubs within the whole division, not 3 or 4 within one club. They have to be dotted around so that they can share the resources. That's just...
Sue and Emma, can I just finish as well with one important point, and that's access with the legacy system of the booklet. You gave the booklet out and the participants can keep the booklet. With the online version, they only have access to that. I think it's 3 months. I'm not sure the exact time frame, but it's something like 3 months after the conclusion of the date you put in as concluding the course. After that, they will not be able to get back in. Now, you can download the modules as PDF and print them out as they're going through it, but they can come back in 4 months and go back into it again. That they won't be able to, because the idea is TI wants people to join Toastmasters clubs, not to keep using Speechcraft. They want them to join. So just be aware of that. It's not like the paper manual for access.
Terrific. Thank you. All right. Now, as we've incorporated the facilitated discussion within the Speechcraft time, this module that we're delivering today, we'll move on to the next module. So the next session at the end of the session's finished 10 minutes beyond the time that's given on the agenda, so that we can have a facilitated discussion as well. So looking forward to the next discussion at the conclusion of Nola's session. And Nola is going to be delivering this wonderful youth leadership program. So Nola has been a Toastmaster for many years, and I have seen her at so many events that she is engaging, interactive. She's a distinguished Toastmaster. She's been on the contest circuit. She's been on the education circuit. She's been filtering her skills everywhere. So she's one of the resources that you would love to have walking around from club to club, helping to encourage them and engage with them as well, so that they feel comfortable in what's going on within the Toastmasters world. She is a wealth of knowledge. She is keen to learn. So despite her young age, she is in there, and she is definitely encouraging others of all ages and all demographics, all skill sets, to keep embracing the program, because that's what it's all about. So with her enthusiasm and her energy, I'd love to welcome Nola Sharp with Youth Leadership.
How lovely you are, how honoured I feel, and I'm so glad that I did not write my introduction, because you did it so much better and with humour, which I absolutely love. Good morning, everybody. And I do wish that I was speaking to people that I could convert, because I think I am speaking to the converted. But in my view, the youth leadership is really the jewel in the Toastmasters crown. And I really didn't believe that Toastmasters International valued what they had and what they presented. I'm going to show you, and for those that know what is at their clubs and perhaps in the drawers of their members of their clubs, this is no value whatsoever. So if people look at this guide, and I'm not sure when it was printed, but it talks about the old program. It talks about youth leadership being about chairmanship. No, it isn't. It's about fun. It's about children learning what they don't know about their own ability. I have seen lives changed because I have spent 8 weeks at a school for an hour and a half. How many people can say that? How many people can say that? And that opportunity was given to me 9 years ago at a school up in the hills, and the program was so appreciated. It is now in the school's curriculum. We don't go at lunchtime. We are not rushed from one room to another, which I have heard from people that have presented the program, and because they value what we do. There is a room set aside for us when we go to this primary school. And the children that are involved in the youth leadership program are the leaders when they go on to their secondary education. I have parents in tears at our presentation night because they did not realise the skills that their children had. Fancy that. Living with a child and not knowing that they could be exceptional. I'm an emotional being, and I have cried at so many youth leadership program speeches that have been presented to children. But we have to give them the tools, and Toastmasters International have given us the tools. Oh, I might get Graham, to bring up the booklet, my YLP booklet. please. Thank you, Graham. Because this is the booklet that I think every Toastmaster should have. Oops. I'll give you a little bit of time. I'll keep talking. 9 years ago, Toastmasters International did not have a booklet or a program even that I felt that I could introduce to students in grade 6. It was bizarre. It was, yes, anyway, it wasn't engaging. So I was lucky to be a member at Lilydale Toastmasters, and we printed our own booklet and we set our own agendas. This is the booklet. Doesn't look very exciting, does it? But it is powerful. Could we have the next slide, please? Look at all of the things that this book contains. The speech numbers they have suggested, and I did not have this in my booklet that I helped put together, but they do 3 speeches with an icebreaker, 1 in earnest, and the speech. And those 3 components allow the children to talk about themselves, something that they are passionate about. And isn't that what we as Toastmasters need to do? Speak about things that we are passionate about. And then they choose a speech where they want to inspire people. Is that possible with grade 6 children? Thank you, Graham. The next slide, please. If it's, and the next one, sorry. Now, this is, and I'll allow you to read it because I won't talk as quick enough for you to do it. That is what, if you have the introduction, an active course, blah, blah, blah. The program is designed for you to make the most of the opportunity. 100% of involvement is required from you. And if you don't attend 2 sessions, then you are not deemed to have completed the course. And the school agrees with that. And if you can scroll down, Graham, very, very quickly about meeting roles, see all of the succinct, easy to read descriptions of all the roles that the children will do. And the next one, thank you. How good is that? Speech structure. I don't do this because I talk about a hamburger in the way that a speech is structured. You know, it's got the sesame seeds on the top, which is the title, and it's the introduction is the bun, the conclusion is the bottom bun. Otherwise, everything that you've said just falls away and you have nothing that will nourish you. And that they give it only 3 parts. We as Toastmasters have heard many boring speeches when people try and put too much into their speeches so that their message and the power that the speech has is lost. Thank you, Graham, if you can scroll down. And these are speech types, and they are just so succinct and wonderful. Thank you, Graham. And this is speech number suggestions of what the speeches can be about. Now, I'm not suggesting, even though the children have this booklet given to them, thank you, Graham, I'll ask you to stop sharing, please. Because I think the booklet is our guide, but within the booklet it also has scripts for the Toastmaster, so you don't have to spend 10 minutes with a student when you first come in explaining what a Toastmaster says and how to introduce. The script is there, and so you just print it off and you give it to the Toastmaster and he fills in the blanks, and it is just wonderful. When the presentation night is given after 8 weeks, then you have, well, I encourage for a full Toastmasters meeting to be done. So what do you do when you've got 20 children? And I don't suggest that you try and run this program with more than 20 because some children are going to miss out. There's just not enough time and there's not enough roles. So the first thing you need to do in setting up a youth leadership program is to decide within your club if there's someone that wants to use it towards their distinguished Toastmaster. And if they do, then they have to find a buddy that is prepared to go along for 8 weeks, support them, be included in the program and in the evaluations, etc., etc. And then you approach your school with what you're going to present. Now, if the school has any sense, they will say, yes, 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 come. But it seems to me that the programs of schools these days are so packed with so many things that finding the time is difficult. Now, ideally, an hour and a half is required for every session, but a lot of schools will only give you an hour. And within that time, it may be eroded away because the school program and the school happenings have to have first priority. So if you're down to 45 minutes to present all you have to do in the 8 weeks, it is difficult. So you have to be smart. So every youth leadership program coordinator that I know have the smarts. They adapt. They make sure that the important things are shared and that the children do most of the work. I would suggest if there was a program that was only 45 minutes, I would suggest that the children's involvement would have to be minimum 30 minutes. Because by doing is the only way that children are going to learn and understand how good they are. Lots of kids never get praise when they're evaluated and they're told, is it appropriate to say one relishes one's buns? This is a comment by Kevin in the chat that I've just found. Oh, you are a bit naughty. Yeah, I appreciate my buns. They're lower than what they used to be, Kevin, for your information. Back to the training. In the first session, I never allow a student to stand at the lectern on his own or her own. And I have changed that over the years. I've had tiers of children who standing out in front of their class is just so overwhelming. So what I do is that they do everything in teams. They are allotted groups that they choose of their own, so friends are with friends and best mates are with best mates. And then I give them a title for them to write a speech, which of course is the title is given by me, and they have to give me an opening, a body, and a conclusion. And so the group is in 5. So do you understand? The opening is student number 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the fillings, and 5 is, someone like to tell me what the 5th child does in this scenario? You may yell it out. Unmute.
Evaluation.
I'm sorry?
Evaluation?
No. We're talking about 1 unit, and I'm teaching them about how to present a speech. So I've got an opening. I've got 3 interesting parts in the body of the hamburger. What is the last hamburger bun? It is a conclusion, my friends. I know it's simple, but we are speaking with children, so don't overcomplicate things. Evaluations don't come with the children doing it in the programs that I run till about the 3rd week. And they're so good at it. And within this booklet, there is an evaluation form that they can use and the things that they are to look for. It is a wonderful, wonderful booklet. So if you are going to go out and sell youth leadership within your clubs, and no one has ever done it from your clubs before, tell them that Toastmasters International have provided them with a resource to make it easy. And please make it fun. There's a lot of reference material in this book, but don't present it like they present it. Use Dr. Seuss. Use booklets that they grew up with. The Mr. Men, for instance. When you're talking about vocal variety, when you're talking about interesting things. And my students that are involved in the youth leadership program never say good morning, good afternoon, and thank you. They have to come up with a wow opening. They don't come up and say my name is, because they've been introduced, you see. And wow openings get a little reward from this Toastmaster. And if you want to use rewards, then please do so. Toastmasters International don't say that you can, but it's amazing what a koala bear can do to a child who thinks they won't be able to give me a wow opening, and when they do, they chomp on it and act as though it's an Oscar given out in the Hollywood echelons. Are there people here today that have done a youth leadership? Would you please put up your hand or indicate somehow? How many people have we got here today that's done a youth leadership? Kevin, you have? In the chat, please. I have just had a presentation made because I asked Carl if I, as the youth leader program coordinator, could I go to the clubs of the people that have presented youth leadership this year, and of course we've gone back to July 2021, so that their peers can see and know that District 73 appreciate the time given and the lives that have been changed for the better. And I went down to Mentone the other day to present the first one, and I'm going across to Dingley, I think, in a couple of weeks' time. And the coordinator, who unfortunately is no longer a Toastmaster, she's having a break, but she said, we named our team, she had 4 people, she said, we named our team, goodness, Nola, it's gone. The Invincibles or the Amazings or something. Because what they got out of it was so much more than what they put in. And that is so true of every program that I have presented. Never ever have I felt that I've given more than what I have received. In high schools, Ash Hall, not a Toastmaster version in high schools. Not run but have involved in judging speech contests. It's an awesome environment. And I understand that there are Toastmasters that find it hard to commit, but I'm a retired old person, so I can do that. And the person that assists me is someone who makes time. He runs his own business and he makes the time. And the Toastmaster presentation night would vie for an award at any conference. In fact, I'm going to speak with Heath and ask if some of our students that have gone through the youth leadership program can present a speech at the conference, because it needs to be highlighted, my friends. It needs to be promoted. It needs to be a gift that you give yourself. And I'm a bit of a selfish person, really. If I don't have fun, if I don't enjoy something, I walk away. I have not walked away from youth leadership program for the past 9 years. Now, I'm not sure how my time is going, but is it time for people to be asking me questions? And before I do that, you need to have a working with children's permit, and in this day and age, you need to be vaccinated. We've had one girl who put up her hand to be involved today, but she's got an exemption, a health exemption, but it's not good enough for the school. So be aware that it's the school that has the last say, not the government rulings on COVID and injections. And that's very disappointing, because we may just have to cancel one of the youth leadership programs because we cannot get enough people. And Emma, I identify with you in that we just haven't got enough good people to go around. And we don't want to wear out the old ones, because if we do, maybe we won't have the young ones to follow. At Lilydale, they have a program on a Saturday morning, but I don't enjoy those because children turn up late because they've been to netball, basketball, swimming, whatever, or they leave early because they've got swimming, basketball, netball, or whatever. And I find that very disruptive. And I know that the programs that I do, I am very blessed because the school values them and give me the time and the space so the children can reach their potential. Are there any questions from people that I have not answered as yet. And please ask a question, otherwise I'm going to sit here like a Ash Hall. It's lovely for you to be here. Thank you. You have a question.
I do, Nola. So it was more around with the schools. Do you work to a certain, and I'm thinking more around secondary schools where I've done a little bit of this training, but do you find a particular subject that makes more sense to be involved? Because then they can then put it against the curriculum. So it's
what do you mean a subject?
Well, so I guess in Gippsland there's a program running called Broadening Horizons,
Yes.
and my role, my work role, I work at state government, so we come in and support those students in different subjects that they want to learn, and inside of that, I've tried to embed some speaking parts for the students so they get more out of it. I was just wondering, is it a separate thing that you come in and say, right, we're going to do Speechcraft?
No,
is it
youth leadership?
Youth leadership, sorry. So that's an add-on to their curriculum,
Yes.
as opposed to finding a subject, and it might be outdoor education for year 9 and 10, and they might have a leadership part in that. I'm just wondering, is there a preferred model that the school might find it advantageous to
link in with something that they've got going?
Yes.
No. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping if they did have such a program, Ash, I would really like to think that the students, when they were giving their speeches about things that they were passionate about, if that program was working, they would talk about that. And that would
Right.
and I could make that as a suggestion for what they'd like to speak about. But I never tell the children what they're to speak about. It's their absolute choice. And the reason for that is, many years ago, we had a boy that talked about losing his dog. Oh, I hope I get through this. And he talked about losing the dog and how he felt. And I rang the parents. I asked the school, could I ring the parents, because it was very emotional. And they told me that he had never spoken about it. And it had happened about 18 months before.
Mm.
So that was cathartic for that child. So how could I possibly come up with a suggestion that he talk about the death of his dog? So no, I have no input, and I don't think any Toastmaster should have an input into suggesting what they talk about, other than a broad outline. And I have never had the school ask me to have an agenda, if you like, for what the children will speak about. No. And I'm not sure whether you were here, Ash, when I was speaking about the children learning by doing, and they have to be 80% of the time children doing, not listening, because they listen to teachers all the time.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't suggesting that there was subjects that we get them to speak about. It's more finding a subject that they're doing as a course curriculum,
Yes.
and embedding the youth leadership program inside of that. It's for the other people on the screen here that might want to approach schools, that I think it's easier to find the school and then find the subject that youth leadership makes sense to the teachers and the curriculum, because then they can sign it off, as opposed to having
just an
you know,
add-on.
that's right. So it becomes
I have to say, I've never really thought about that.
Right, okay.
Because when I go into schools, it's usually from word of mouth, and they know very much what to expect.
Right, okay.
On what we present. And we sell ourselves, and the booklet talks about this, about empowering the children to give them confidence. And really, the speech making is not the be all and the end all, because children very often aren't listened to. Children very often don't listen to themselves. And when they hear their voice and they know that their voice is being listened to, it's the same as we as adults. You know, if we believe that our voice is heard, how empowering is that? Especially for a child who, many years ago they said, you have children, then you tell them to sit down, shut up, and don't say anything. Well, what a different world we live in now, and how blessed we are that children will do that. But do you know, our world is at a point now. I saw a blog by an educationer, and he was saying he thinks there'll be a curriculum in schools to teach children how to listen, because they don't listen now. They don't have books read to them anymore. They read it themselves. They do everything on their device. They're not hearing words. They're only formulating things in their head. And if they're not hearing, then you cannot possibly be a communicator. And it's a communication that is the most important, that one child can say to another what he believes in, and the other child to listen and really hear what he's saying. That's why we've got, in my uneducated view, that's why we've got so much mental health. No one is being listened to. That sounded like a soapbox, didn't it? But that youth leadership is something that could turn that around. I would be interested in our international visitor here today. Is youth leadership a part of D20? And I'm not pronouncing your name because I'm afraid that I will not pronounce it correctly. Would you say it for me, please?
Yeah, that's Imtiaz, Nola.
Oh, so it's exactly as it's written.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you heard of youth leadership program in D20?
Oh, yes, it's a very popular activity, youth leadership. And of late, we've cashed in on the alliance between Toastmasters and Rotary.
Yes.
Rotary considers youth education and development a very important part of their activities. And they actually have one division which is dedicated to the youth.
Wonderful.
And yeah, so we've had some collaboration with the Rotary locally, and we've done a couple of youth leadership programs.
Yes.
The first one was for high school children. We had about 25 of them enrolled.
Yeah.
And it was really an excellent experience.
Yes.
And we recently followed that up with another event with the American University of Bahrain. So, in addition to this being a high priority item with Rotary, they also have a lot of money to spend towards this.
Something Toastmasters never have.
Exactly, yeah. So they're willing to spend. So I think it's worth, if you haven't already started collaboration with the Rotary,
yes,
it's really worthwhile pursuing it. And youth leadership is very popular. We have gavel clubs. We have a mini annual convention where so many gavel clubs compete. They get together. It's quite active. The activities with the youth.
Thank you. That's really interesting.
You're welcome.
Very interesting. Thank you. We have had the English Speaking Union who have addressed us. It's an international organisation, and they offered us support for our program in giving prizes if we had a contest between the different youth leadership programs and the schools, and they were willing to invest $1,000 as a prize. But on further examination of what they were expecting, they were wanting us to change the youth leadership program focus. They were wanting to promote themselves, of course, for their investment, but not to the point where Toastmasters would be eliminated. But my suggestion now has been, because they had never seen the course, they had only heard about it, that they are coming to a course that's being started in the next term. And I said, because I think you need to see what it is that you are suggesting that you support before you support it. And start off small. And if you want to give books, to the school that is running the youth leadership program. Base it on knowledge and not your interpretation of what youth leadership perhaps could become, because it is. You can't better what it is currently and what is being taught. And with this booklet, as opposed to this booklet, has meant that it is beneficial to every student that runs through the program. Are there any other questions? Yes, we don't do a lot of gavel clubs here that I'm aware of. So there may be people in your club that you think would not be a good coordinator. Can I have suggestions of how you would approach that? If you have a member and they may contact me and say, I would like to run a youth leadership program, perhaps not with the support of their Toastmasters club, but because their child goes to a school and they want the program introduced. Can I have from the assembled group here suggestions of how you would approach that?
As in helping them become better facilitators, or?
Yes, so that the program is presented as Toastmasters International would like it presented.
Yeah, the challenge is always having the champion, isn't it? So someone like yourself that is capable of helping to guide others. The problem is we're not creating another generation that are as passionate or as capable that want to continue it. And the way you do that is you invite more and more people to join you in facilitation so that they see by example. There's no better way than following others and learning from that experience.
That experience.
Yeah.
Yes, my thought was that because we are so good with Zoom now, in fact, I see our good friend Daryl is joining us from Western Australia, and welcome, Daryl. And that's an for the counter. My thought was that because we're good at Zoom now, that I could do a sort of mini training one-to-one, and in that way empower them, because I really can't attend every session that people put their hand up, and I don't see that as my role. I see my role as the coordinator as just that, a coordinator, finding talented people who can present the program well. But if I've got a concern about someone who wants to present it that I have concerns about, that is my tact, and that's what I think I will do. Would anyone like to comment on that? And I am on green now.
I think that's part of the coaching component. So, you know, we do have that perfect environment. You already said it. Zoom enables us all to get together and talk, and role playing the environments and sharing your experience about what happened and how you dealt with issues with a series of coordinators all online is a absolutely awesome way to share those learnings that they're not going to be able to necessarily experience because they're, you know, once in 30 sessions events. And, you know, coping mechanisms and being able to talk and do that kind of stuff. I think, yeah, take advantage of the platform.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. I'd like to close with a story. When I go into a school, I ask them to give me no background to the children that are going to be doing the course. And I want them to be a fresh page, every child. I don't want to hear that they've not achieved all through their 6 years while they've been at school. And there was one boy who was not academic, and he had a problem with his eyesight. So reading from a script, even in large font, was really difficult. And we came up with the idea that we would give him a board, you know, like they have at the Oscars, where no one does anything off the cuff, apparently. They read everything. And we used photographs and drawings to keep him on track. So, because he told a family story that he knew well. So it wasn't remembering. It was remembering to put it sequentially and flowing. And it worked such a treat. And do you know the students from his class at the presentation night gave him a standing ovation. So coping mechanisms for children within the program are there, and you know he'll never forget that, and neither will I. Neither will I. There you go. Make me laugh. Say something to make me laugh.
Well, Nola, I'll hand over to Graham, who will help facilitate the last part of the question time, because you've certainly shared something and tugged on my heartstrings as well. So let's hand over to Graham and see if you can help entice a few more questions in regard to youth leadership. Graham's the education and training team trio as well, and he's a pathways coordinator, and he's a D73 webmaster, and he's part of the Zoom team. So he's got lots of skill sets, and he'll just help to chat with us in regard to the last part of the youth leadership section. Thank you, Graham.
Thanks, Sue.
And far more importantly, you are a friend of mine, Graham Dunlop. Are you not?
As indeed are you, Nola. Thank you. Would anybody have a question for Nola?
I have a question.
Hey, Sue has a question. Sue, over to you.
I have a question. If you do run it online in the schools, do you still need?
It's been done.
Yeah. Do you still need a police check? A working with children check?
No, of course you wouldn't.
Oh, don't know about that. Oh,
I
sorry,
think
just
surprise.
jumping in. I think you would still, because you've got some interaction with the students. You could have like side chats, and then you could start
Oh, yes.
grooming. Yeah, we were talking about this the other day, believe it or not, with SAPOL. So, and because I've attended a child safe webinar with church, and
Okay.
yeah.
Well, thank you,
Yeah.
Emma.
I'd
yes.
say they'd want it. Yeah.
Yeah. And does the school help facilitate the police checks for the trainers, or do you need to do that all yourself?
You do it yourself. You provide the card when you're at the school.
Yeah. And it's different in each state. Do you know the rules for South Australia, Victoria and Tasmania?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Not off the top of my head, says Nola. Kevin has put a question in the chat. Have you any experience of YLP members becoming Toastmasters?
In 9 years, they're only, they're 9, so they could potentially be. No, but I just know that they are. I hear back from parents quite often whenever they achieve things that are amazing, but not being a Toastmaster. So, like Emma referred to grooming, I haven't groomed them perhaps well enough so that they jump straight off school into a Toastmasters club. No.
Okay.
I'd love to lie, and I have lied on occasion to get what I want, but not today.
No. Actually, I have a question. I don't have kids. I'm not involved with schools and all the rest of it. This might be a bit of a gimme question, actually. I find it hard to believe sometimes that modern children would want to do this kind of training about speaking and everything. It seems, I don't know, old-fashioned or boring or something. Are they really engaged? Do they really like doing this stuff?
Yes, they are, Graham. And I've only been at my sessions, so am I going to, in front of international speakers, going to admit that, no, my children are so bored when they come to my sessions? No, of course I'm not. So that was a loaded question. But no, they are not. And do you know, maybe it's because the opportunity to speak is not given often enough, Graham. And if we don't give children the opportunity to talk about things that are really important, about dogs dying and and grandmothers being the most important person in the world. And I remember a boy opened a speech once, and I've got thousands of these stories, but we haven't got time. And he said, I know where beauty began on earth. And he talked about the place that he went to holiday with his parents.
Mhm.
I know where beauty on earth began. So that's good. So why wouldn't you be involved? Why wouldn't you put your hand up to be involved with these amazing, amazing children? Yeah, okay. And it's a way of honouring their past too. Quite often I talk about my past and people that are no longer with me. And the children talk about their memories of their parents and their grandparents. And I can't imagine them being involved in any conversation in the schoolyard or at home, well, perhaps at home, but they actually honour them. And they have photos and they tell about the stories and about an old F.J. Holden, for those people who are old enough to remember what an F.J. Holden was, and how his dad did it up and he helped him rub the Duco down, and all of those amazing things. It's a snippet of life as it is in Australia. We don't hear enough of it, I don't think.
Right. We're coming towards the end here. Imtiaz has just put a fantastic comment in. He said in D20 we've got one YLP participant who joined Toastmasters and went on to become the youngest district director ever.
Yeah.
How good a story is that?
I shall add it to my script. Thank you so very much for sharing. Isn't that good? And those good stories happen all of the time. So I've got something to aim for, haven't I, Imtiaz? Because I can't tell that story, but maybe this year, you never know.
Okay, 11:14. Sue just has one more question. We'll make this the last one.
I know you target mainly the middle sort of schools. Do you target have you ever targeted, say, the 16 and 17-year-olds that can potentially the following year continue those skill sets on and use it in universities and other things that they're involved with and potentially springboard into becoming Toastmasters because they will be of legal age to do so? Have you tried the upper end?
Yes, we have. I wrote a program for VCAL students where we meet. We meet at Mount Lilydale Mercy College, and the coordinator of the VCAL program wanted his students to have more confidence in speaking. My first question to James was, where do you feel comfortable and where are you at your best? And his answer to me was, in my room, on my own. And that child, I went to his, I learned that where he worked, on the days he didn't come to school. And I spoke to his boss and I said, I need a positive about James because I've never seen a child so down on himself. And he says, do you know he can strip down a motor quicker than anybody that I've ever had here? And I've been here for 15 years. So at the next session, I said to James, how is it that you can strip down a motor quicker than anybody has in the memory of your the boss at Royan's? And he didn't say anything for a while. And there was a light bulb went on. And in the presentation night at his school, he brought a motor in and he gave a half-hour presentation on the workings of a diesel motor. Oh my goodness me. It is the story I most like to tell. And when he walked into the first session, he turned his name around and he sat side on. He wouldn't give me any eye contact. And that was the start of him knowing that he was special. And because of Toastmasters, there you go.
Fantastic.
Wonderful story. And I will end on that. Thank you, Graham.
Thank you so much, Nola. And I'll pass you back to our Toastmaster of today, Sue. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nola, and thank you, Graham. Incredible insight into leadership. Be wonderful to engage a few more experienced Toastmasters to come out and give you some support. So we'll be feeding that through to the district as they're on board here, and hopefully they'll be able to help facilitate that in future. So thank you again. Thank you to Emma for her presentation on Speechcraft. Thank you to Nola for her youth leadership. Both of you, really appreciate your engagement and support in District 73. All right, it is time to welcome back everyone for our next session, which is on the Speakers Bureau. We have an invited guest, which is Imtiaz Ahmed. Imtiaz has popped into Adelaide Toastmasters only a few weeks back, and in the engagement and the chatting around the table after the meeting, we found out so much more about Imtiaz. Imtiaz is a wonderful resource. He's a distinguished Toastmaster. He is a dear friend of Austin Nevis, and he was a true gem when we found him. So Imtiaz has been a Toastmaster since 1998. He's a DTM. He's served on District 79 as the District Governor in 2004 and 5. He has been a keynote speaker, organised and chaired conferences in both Toastmasters and beyond, and has facilitated workshops on leadership, management, sales performance, judging, parliamentary procedures, conflict resolution, and numerous soft skills and technical training programs. So he's well versed in many aspects. He is passionate about his current assignment as the D20 Speakers Bureau Chairman, since it is an excellent vehicle to serve the communities whilst embracing the skills of members. Imtiaz received the Presidential Citation in 2021, the highest honour accorded by Toastmasters International to its members. He is eternally grateful to Toastmasters and the leadership opportunities which helped him overcome many daunting challenges, while providing a perfect platform to practice his motto in life, which is live to learn and learn to live. Welcome, Imtiaz.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sue. And I must also thank my mentor, Austin Nevis, for making this possible, for making many things possible in my life. He's the person who pushed me on the leadership path. And since then, of course, there's no turning back. And having said that, I'm so grateful to him. Right, so a very good morning to you all. It's just past 4:30 here in Bahrain. And yeah, so it's nice and early for us here. And, you know, we are actually in the month of Ramadan. So Ramadan is the time where people in the Middle East, Muslims worldwide, they fast. They fast from the dawn until dusk. So that could be anywhere between 14 hours here and about 20 hours in Norway at the moment. Yeah, so where we don't eat or drink anything. So, but that doesn't matter, because what I need to live, I get from Toastmasters. So now I would like to share my experience with the Speakers Bureau. The Speakers Bureau has been one of the most challenging things to establish as far as District 20 and all. You know, we started off in the Middle East with one district, District 79. Now we have 5. And across all the 5 districts, we have not been able to sustain the Speakers Bureau. So here in District 20 now, we are in our 3rd year. And of course, the lack of in-person meetings and the virtual platform with the Zoom fatigue is taking its toll. And does have an impact, and we're waiting to get back live in-person meetings, and I'm sure things will take off from there. So we have achieved quite a lot. So now, why do this fuss about the Speakers Bureau? I recall so many meetings. As I was discussing with Austin and Adelaide a couple of weeks ago, the thing that I enjoy the most is attending a club meeting where you have people speaking, and they speak about subjects from their own personal experiences, their own lives, which actually opens up a completely new area or new sphere of life, almost to become aware of. And many times there have been those moments where I felt that, you know, there's such someone shares this pearl of wisdom, and we just feel that I wish I could share this with my son. I wish I could share this with my wife, with my boss. Yeah, but unfortunately, there is no way to do that, because translating it, something does get lost in the translation. So the Speakers Bureau, you know, the Toastmasters is really blessed with so much talent, so much knowledge, so many skilled people who can make a difference to people's lives. But unfortunately, this does not get transferred to the people who probably need it the most. Youth leadership, Speechcraft programs do help, but then the Speakers Bureau, we thought, is the perfect platform to start doing something for the community. So therefore, the Speakers Bureau, and the Speakers Bureau, this is about the Speakers Bureau. This is what we will be looking at today. What is a Toastmasters Speakers Bureau? It's a little different from other Speakers Bureau, which are for commercial purposes. And my experience, I've already shared a bit of that, why and how. And then we look at the standards of excellence that are so crucial to succeeding, successfully operating and managing a Speakers Bureau. We look at speech and speaker qualification. And then we'll also look at some of the services that a Toastmasters International Speakers Bureau can offer. And we look at the other question, the most important question, what's in it for me as a member, the benefits. And then we'll wrap up with a Q&A. But please feel free to stop me at any point and let me know if you have some questions. Toastmasters International recommends that we form Speakers Bureau, and even a club can start its own Speakers Bureau. Sue has already attached the Speakers Bureau brochure, and there are some more references to that in the Toastmasters International policies and procedures. In addition to that, we feel it's important and recommended to have our own SOPs, standard operating procedures, which could become a part of the district operation manual. There are three pillars of success as far as the Speakers Bureau is concerned. And it is very important for all three to be cohesive in order for the initiative to succeed. Toastmasters, the members of the Speakers Bureau, of course, they are crucial. And also it is so important for them to contribute and follow the standards of excellence that are to be established. They have their obligations, which we will look at. And then, of course, the community. The community stands to benefit the most because they get a service which is absolutely free of charge. And Toastmasters International also supports us with their guidance, and also they benefit because they get the brand of Toastmasters International is enhanced in the areas where a Speakers Bureau operates. We provide, in the Speakers Bureau, we provide what we call SaaS. Those of you who are familiar with the technical term will immediately start wondering, what is software as a service? What are we talking about here? By SaaS, we mean speakers as a service. That's what the Speakers Bureau is all about. And when we say service, it's absolutely free of charge, except, of course, for expenses related to conducting the event. Now, typically, this is a typical vision and mission for the Speakers Bureau. It's to become the leading provider of speakers as a service to the communities in the district. And the mission is to connect members with speaking engagements and add value to the community, of course, and promote Toastmasters and advance the speaker's career. Now, what are the functions of the Speakers Bureau? So, of course, the goal is to build a resource pool of speakers, accomplished, top-notch, enthusiastic speakers. And of course, for them to become top-notch, they have to be qualified. The speaker as well as the speech. And we help in the development of the speaker. And at the same time, we set standards of excellence because we cannot compromise on the quality. Because at the end of the day, the Speakers Bureau represents Toastmasters International, and therefore it is vital for us to ensure that we maintain those standards. And a very dedicated marketing and promotion effort is required, because even if we have the speakers and if they don't have a platform to go out and present, then the mission is not accomplished. And we also conduct quality events, which we will look at in due course. As I said earlier, it's so important for us to maintain high standards, because speakers at the end of the day are considered as ambassadors of Toastmasters International. Therefore, so they have to satisfy membership requirements. We put in certain minimum requirements for people to become a member of the Speakers Bureau, at least a level 4 in the Pathways program. They should be proficient in their chosen topic, and they should pass the speech qualification process. A very, very robust and very, very effective program we have developed over the period of these last 3 years. And they should always comply with Toastmasters International and the Speakers Bureau standards and rules. What is this speaker qualification process? They have to satisfy the minimum criteria for membership. They should prepare an abstract of the guest speech. What do we mean by that? The speaker might be planning to deliver a 4-hour session or workshop, maybe something which lasts even a day or even longer. So, of course, we will not be able to evaluate the entire workshop. So therefore, he or she prepares an abstract about the guest speech and condenses it into 20 minutes. And that will enable the judges panel to evaluate and determine whether the speech is ready to be delivered to an external audience. And the judges panel, it comprises of 3 Toastmasters and at least 2 non-Toastmasters. And for the non-Toastmasters, we try to bring in people from with the learning and development and the human relations development business. So because they are the ones who are making decisions about the types of programs that their employees can undergo, and they give us excellent feedback. And also sometimes we bring in, if the topic is technical or something related to regulations. So we bring in subject matter experts so that they can also participate in the judging. So we give the speaker a very fair and holistic evaluation and assessment. And based on the judging results and the approval or the final review by the Speakers Bureau Managing Committee, the speech and the speaker is considered qualified, and it becomes part of our offering to the public. Now, the point here is, if a speaker is qualified to deliver one speech, that doesn't mean that she can deliver any other speech. So it has to be just that one speech. And if they plan to deliver it on a different topic, that has to go through the same process again. Now, what are these services that the Speakers Bureau can offer? Here are some of the usual requests and requirements. As a master of ceremonies, keynote speakers, moderators for workshops, coaches, conference chairs, conducting themed events, storytellers, entertainers, after dinner, after lunch speakers, SMEs, training, of course, and facilitation, motivational speakers. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We have Toastmasters and members of the Speakers Bureau who are specialized in their own professional fields, and they can be mobilized as required. And the best part is all this is for free. Right? Just a few examples of the speeches that members can consider giving based on their own strengths. So there's a huge range of topics. So coming to that question, what's in it for me? So how do the members benefit? Yeah, they build their own portfolio of quality speeches. They're guided from coaches and mentors. So they have access to educational resources. We have a portal for them. They create their own professional profile, and they can start promoting their own brand, growing their network, transforming from speaking free into speaking for a fee. So as you can see, there are several benefits, and all this provides multiple ways to enhance the skills, the speaker member skills. Essentially, what we do is combine all the strengths and the areas of specialization of the speakers and help them become consummate speakers. Here is the judging ballot. I'll just briefly go through this so you get an idea of how we've tried to make it objective. It's very similar to the Toastmasters speech contest judging ballot. We've been inspired by that, and it works well for Toastmasters contests, and it works well for us as well. So the content, it amounts to 40 points. And the execution and delivery. See, this is a very important aspect here because most Toastmasters are great at making a speech in 7 minutes. But once they have to extend that same concept of whatever topic that they're talking about, even if they have to make it 20 minutes long, they are extremely challenged. And these are experienced Toastmasters. Therefore, this helps them, the feedback that they get helps them to make that shift, paradigm shift, almost like a paradigm shift for them to start delivering longer presentations and not just filling up the time, but making it meaningful. So of course, the manner is also very important. Here we try to educate the importance of techniques like adult learning psychology, adult learning techniques, making the sessions interactive, which I'm failing miserably at right now. So, but this is what happens during a typical speech qualification process. In addition to that, so it's a little departure from the Toastmasters convention. The judges also provide written feedback to the speaker. Just very simple, 3 things that they're positive, things that they need improvement, and other suggestions. So this could be anonymous, or it could be they could put their names on. And this is just a snapshot of the speech abstract. So this is something which really helps the speaker crystallize their thoughts and exactly what they're trying to achieve. The ultimate objective, and then they start with the end in mind, and then they articulate their their strategy and the content and the outline, and at the end of this exercise, they're almost prepared to deliver the speech. It makes the speaker think, and also it helps the judges, because the judges get a copy of this abstract and they know exactly what to expect and what are the objectives. So speaking opportunities, plenty. Corporates, every company that we have out here in the Middle East has at least an annual meeting with their employees. They're always looking for speakers. Some of them have sales meetings, service team meetings, and there's tremendous scope. Professional bodies, IEEE, Society of Engineers, so on and so forth. Social service organizations, charity organizations, NGOs, event management companies, plenty of scope. And also, in addition to that, the Speakers Bureau can conduct special events. We did one last year based on the situation with COVID, which was quite a reasonably, I would say, I can't say it was a huge success, but it was. We had an international audience. We called it Reboot 2021, because people were reeling from the impact of COVID. I guess Australia was a little better off than the rest of the world, but then they unfortunately caught up with us. And but then this was very well received. We had speakers who spoke on different aspects of dealing with the impact of the pandemic. So these are such events the Speakers Bureau can stage to showcase the speakers. And we could do a day-long event with 6-7 speakers, and it's very well received. And we could even charge small fees to take care of the expense. So that's what we've been doing here in District 20. We'll be happy to take any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Imtiaz. That was incredible, and I'm looking forward to hearing all the questions, because I've got a few myself. But to start it off, let's go to Kevin.
Thank you very much for that. I'm curious as to whether or not you have a conventional meeting as well as part of being part of the Speakers Bureau. So do you meet in the context of a Toastmasters club, or do you remain apart from that?
We made this choice to remain apart from that, because we didn't want to tax the members with additional obligations. So they could continue the Toastmaster related activities and education in their home clubs, and just concentrate on their speeches with the Speakers Bureau. So this is, but then having said that, we try to have combined meetings. There are lots of clubs which are struggling to have the attendance, and so they are now almost to the point of becoming sick. So we have joint meetings with them. So that way we also experience, we had the Toastmasters, the regular Toastmaster meeting experience as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Carl, you have a question.
I do. Thank you for that. I found that extremely interesting and helpful to understand about the Speakers Bureau. I have 3 questions, so I'll ask them quickly so we can get through them. The first is, how do you manage the expectations of the applicants? Because I'm coming back to what Nola talked about during Emma's section, where some people think they're a lot better than they are, and then they get extremely upset and miffed if they don't meet the qualifying requirements. How do you manage that?
Okay, so yeah, but this is definitely a challenge because there are people who think that they are above improvement, they don't deserve the feedback, and this has been an actual challenge for us. We've had to deal with situations because the judges, when they give verbal feedback, as part of the speech qualification process, some of the members do take objection to certain points that were made by a particular judge, but then we mediate and try to resolve and make it, ensure that nobody goes on the defensive. Yeah, so, but that is where the key is to make sure that the judges provide their evaluation fairly, objectively, and accurately. And sometimes they feel that once it seems like we're outside the Toastmasters club, so it's a free for all. So we've had these kind of judges as well. So we do a judge qualification procedure as well. We do follow a judge's qualification procedure. So that way, we do not allow a fresh, even a very highly experienced Toastmaster to come in and qualify and do a judge, function as a judge, without going through the qualification process.
Sure, thank you. All right, I'll move to my next question because I just want to take up too much time. I think I heard you mention about promoting an individual's business. I may have misinterpreted what you said there, so that you can expand your moving into a fee for service rather than free for service. I was under the impression, and I could be wrong here because you know more about it than I do, that when you go out in the Speakers Bureau, you can't actually promote your own business. If someone asks you, you could say, oh, I do this for a living, but you can't actually promote your business at the end. Am I incorrect there?
You're absolutely right. You don't actively promote your business, but then if the client requires or is interested in engaging your services, after the event with the Speakers Bureau, also we allow the member to pursue that as a completely separate opportunity. So we don't prevent them from, taking up opportunities, engaging in fees, paid for, engagements for a fee, following the event. But when they are representing the Speakers Bureau, so they are not allowed to take any kind of monetary compensation, and they always have to mention that they have to promote Toastmasters and the Speakers Bureau.
Right.
But,
thank you.
yeah, so many times it happens that the client gets interested in engaging the speaker for a longer session. Then, of course, with all transparency and communication with the Speakers Bureau committee, the member is allowed to pursue that, and making it very clear to the client that the Speakers Bureau is not involved in that particular engagement.
Thank you. My very last question is, this sounds like it takes a lot of time and effort of certain members to actually start and then maintain professionally and successfully a Speakers Bureau. We have a lot of problems with engagement in our district, and some people may get excited at first, but then 2 months down the track, they start to drop out because life comes into it and they're busy or whatever. Is it a challenge to keep the momentum going with the Speakers Bureau?
Absolutely. We face the same challenges. And one of the reasons was that, like you said, we did not allow the members were not allowed to promote their own businesses or services. So once we made this change, it has become a little better in terms of retention and sustaining the initiative. COVID has been a huge, has had a huge impact, and so definitely we are reeling from that, and we're waiting to start meeting in person, and I hope that will happen very soon. And with that, I'm sure we'll be able to build the membership and sustain the initiative.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Excellent. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
And we have one quick question from Austin. Austin.
Yes, thank you, Sue, and thank you, Imtiaz, for the very interesting talk you gave us. I learned a lot. I have heard of Speakers Bureau, but I didn't know that Speakers Bureau was could be done under the auspices of Toastmasters. That is something new. That aspect is new to me, and it's very interesting. Now, my questions are these. Well, I had a few questions, but the previous, you already gave some answers, so mine is shorter now. Since it is encouraged by Toastmasters International, is it a part of Toastmasters now? I mean, what I mean is, to start this bureau, Speakers Bureau, do we have to get permission from TMI? Is there a joining fee for TMI? How do we go about that? That's one question. And the second one is, if we start a Speakers Bureau within the club, that would be practically like a club within a club. So we can't obviously engage those speakers during our normal meetings. We should have it outside of the normal meetings with those selected members. Comments?
Yeah, okay. On for the answer to the first question is, we don't need to even inform Toastmasters International that we've started a Speakers Bureau. And it doesn't have to be the district. As I said, even the club can start a Speakers Bureau. And yes, about diluting or confusing the roles of members during a club meeting or a Speakers Bureau meeting, it is definitely recommended to have separate meetings, especially if you engage in the practice that we have, which is to qualify each speech. But having said that, it's also it will really help to have the speech qualification process done during a regular club meeting. Instead of one of the prepared speakers, we could have the Speakers Bureau presenting his session or her session. And then, can get even a wider feedback from the larger membership of the club. Yes.
Thank you, Imtiaz.
Terrific.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Master.
Imtiaz, thank you so much. We really appreciate your powerful presentation, your insight into Speakers Bureau, and the time that you have spent coming out today and presenting at 4 o'clock in the morning to deliver for our district. So thank you again. It was an honor meeting you and chatting with you at Adelaide Toastmasters the other day. And it's been a real gem, as I said, to grab you into our network and engage with you and call you a key resource that would be wonderful for us as well. So thank you again. We really appreciate what you've done for us today.
You're most welcome. It's been a pleasure. And I thank you very much for the opportunity and at your service at any time.
Thank you. All right, now I can see we are definitely on the red light and we need to move to our next presenter. So we're moving into speaker to trainer, and this will be facilitated by Mr. Shirts, who's changed again. I can see he's got a different shirt for each segment, I think, today. I'm not sure what's going on there. So we have Kevin Broughton. Kevin's part of the education and training team and helping on many other parts of the district as well. But Kevin declares that he is politically pragmatic, religiously ecumenical, believes in love, and that family always come first. He is proud to be a member of Toastmasters He tells me that the organisation and his Toastmasters family continues even now after 13 years, which is lucky for some, to be a great eye-opener to the world of communication and leadership. It has cared for him and protected him as he grew his voice to be able to share his enthusiasm and passion with everyone, whilst helping others to free their inner voice and build on their confidence in leading others. Kevin has a secret he wishes wasn't a secret and asks us to all share it. The purpose of life is to serve others with your gifts and talents and to inspire all to see the beauty in themselves and others. Today, Kevin is going to give us an overview of the Speaker to Trainer, a part of the Success Communication and Success Leadership series. This particular one is an educational workshop that teaches participants how to develop and present training programs over the course of around 5 hours. So I'd love to welcome our presenter today, Kevin Broughton, DTM.
Thank you very much, Sue. How many are aware of the Success Leadership and Success Communication series? Quick show of hands. Some? So let's see. Are you feeling inspired? Do you need to do something? Let's type into the chat window any of those items that you believe is in the series. And a reminder that one of them is Speaker to Trainer. Do you think we can pick out any of the others? Or has everyone got stitch in their fingers? No, Speaker to Trainer, the only one, Emma? Well, one of the ones was mentioned earlier. Imtiaz was presenting on this. Parliamentary Procedure in Action. That's another one. Speechcraft is actually part of this series. Improving your management skills, conducting productive meetings, how to listen effectively, the art of evaluation, and the lucky last Speaker to Trainer as well as a couple of the others. There's in the resources pack, there's a handout called Expanding Your Horizons, which is included in today's sharing that we've got here. Notice the speaking bureau conversation continues. Have fun. So the presentations vary in length for all of these. They go from an hour to 5 hours, depending on what they're doing. And they're meant to be used either inside your club to enhance member skills or within companies to help increase employee skills and promote awareness of Toastmasters, and also in the community to enhance the general public skills and to promote awareness of Toastmasters. It's about going beyond your club with your members to grow awareness and maybe attract a new cohort to your club. Each presentation is designed to be conducted as a seminar with a club member serving as a leader or coordinator. The presentations include a script and instructions, and most presentations also include visuals and notebooks for your participants. Although, as we've been made aware, it's getting more and more digital. So what's in it for you, I hear you cry? Well, I would if you weren't all muted. For the leaders, it's around developing strong presentation skills. It's about improving your training abilities, demonstrating teaching skills in a workshop environment, learning the ins and outs of meeting planning and getting experience with visual aids, and providing a much needed educational service to others. As a participant in any of those programs, it's about acquiring insights into each education topic, applying new skills in role play and exercises, observing and learning from the presentation skills of others, collaborating with others who have similar interests, and maybe sharing your thoughts about what's important, about the important ideas that are covered during that training. Now, Speaker to Trainer is available as a digital download only now. It's a great investment at only $25 US. And when, of course, the shop comes back up on May the 9th, powered by our new ERP version of the online platform, that's Enterprise Resource Planning. And will add much more to the support of TI's digital strategy. The pack comes with a slide deck, expanding your horizons, as I mentioned earlier, which is in the resources, and a participant and coordinator certificate, and all the things you need to be able to run the session. So why do speaker to trainer? And what does it cover? Many businesses and organizations have realized the importance of training. Who hasn't? Properly trained people increase productivity and they make fewer mistakes. But how do you train people? Toastmasters has identified 5 steps. And in this workshop, you'll discover these 5 steps. What you need to do to prepare and to present a training session to young adult learners. You will also learn the roles of trainers and the difference between public speaking and training. And of course, you'll gain practical experience in facilitating discussion and conducting exercises. I'm not here to spoil the whole course, but to give you a taster of what's included. Let's jump in and see where it leads us. The workshop starts with an icebreaker, something to engage rapport in the room. And yes, I think one of those getting to know each other's in 30 seconds is a really good way to start. So have a think, how would you introduce yourself in 30 seconds? I was brought up a Welshman, moving to Melbourne in 2007. I'm a pragmatic, romantic husband and father who believes life is about being present in the moment. I strive for efficiency, but not at the expense of pragmatism. I believe that there is always room for improvement. Without exception, I commit to doing my best and am mindful of those around me that are striving to do that too. I have a secret I wish everyone would share. The purpose of life is to serve others with your gifts and talents and to inspire all to see the beauty in themselves and others. Keep calm, change is coming. Anybody else care to do the 30-second intro as a bit of a warm-up exercise? It's one of those ones I think everyone should know. Nola's chomping at the bit. I can see she's ready.
Oh, for heaven's sake, Kevin. I don't know why I'm ever in a room with you. I am Nola Sharp and I am a mother of 3 beautiful children. And I'm the grandmother of 5 and I'm a great-grandmother of 7. But that is not the only attributes that I have. I have a love of people. I have a love of life. I was asked at a recent contest what would be my legacy if I was to leave one. And I think it would be to live well, and by that I mean serving community and other people that are less fortunate than me, to laugh often at silly things, and to even laugh at serious things sometimes and enjoy hearing the laughter, and to love much. Everything that I do, everyone in my life, I love much. Thank you, Kevin.
Awesome, thank you, Nola. Love is everything. Who's next? I notice people have strategically turned their videos off now. So, Daryl, you turned yours back on, so clearly you're up for your 30 seconds. 30 seconds of fame.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Well, my name is Daryl O'Reilly. I'm originally from Ararat, Victoria. I now reside in Ballarat. I began somehow loving helping and teaching others way back in my football club days. And this has probably led me to where I am at the moment with Toastmasters. I began my journey in 2015 and now 6 years later, I'm still very much involved. I'm loving my role as a Northern Division Director the last 12 months, and to see the improvement of Toastmasters when they come to a meeting and then a month down the track, 2 months down the track, you see them grow taller each and every meeting. That gives them a great satisfaction. And now I'm looking at areas as well to improve myself as well because of the Toastmasters commitment that I made to this organisation some years ago. Thank you very much, Kevin. I don't know if that was 27 seconds and 4.400.
Oh, it's just approaching a minute, but well done.
Minute?
It's amazing how fast 30 seconds goes. Believe me, it's a real challenge. Carlos, can I tempt you to give us a 30-second introduction?
Yes, I will. I will try. Hello, everyone. I'm Carlos Fresard. I'm from Chile. I participate in Toastmasters Without Borders club. I'm the actual president of the club. And for me, Toastmaster has been a great opportunity to improve my communication skills and to discover a wonderful world. I'm a father of 2 beautiful sons. I'm happily married. I love having fun. I practice karate. So I like also not only developing my mind, but also my body. And I'm very, very happy to be tonight with you all. Over to you, Kevin.
Wonderful. Thank you, Carlos. That was only 44. So awesome, getting close. And Sue, the lucky last who's left her video on. 30 seconds.
Hello, I'm a mother of 2, a grandmother of 2, a Toastmaster by day and now into the night. And although it seems to be early mornings and almost 24 hours at the moment, but I'm a Toastmaster by heart and soul. But my day job is something completely different. I work in virology and entomology. So I work in plant diseases. So I'm a complete different aspect from Toastmasters to my career. Back to you.
33 seconds. Awesome. It's amazing how exercises like this, and that's what you learn as part of this course, engage with people in different ways. What they choose to share will tell you quite a bit about them and about how perhaps you would need to impact and change your training to be able to accommodate the experiences that they share in that very, very quick establishment of an icebreaker and the rapport that you need to be able to form. So let's try something else that requires you to engage and is very much about what the speaker and the trainer is around. Now, it's about the journey, the speaker to trainer. So there must be things which are different about being a speaker and a trainer. So when it comes to the purpose of what a speaker is, do you want to put in the chat window what you think that purpose is, or what the purposes you have as being a speaker are? Perhaps a why do you speak? Nope. To share knowledge and to empower others. Yep. To help others, to influence other people. Yeah, absolutely. To get your point of view across on a particular area of your life. Yes, thanks, Sam. So we conventionally are taught, and it's when we do our speech evaluations, what was the purpose of the speech that you just listened to? Was it to inform or to persuade or to entertain? They're the common ones that we have. So what do you think the purpose of a trainer is? Why do training? Why would you turn around and talk to someone in a training capacity? Is it different? Is it the same? To educate them. Yep. And development. Yep. We're looking to change behavior. So when we're training someone, we're actually wanting them to do something. It's similar to maybe the call to action that you have when you're a speaker. But the idea here is that a trainer changes your behavior through the interaction of the training event. So it's important to remember that you would use some of those skills that you have as a speaker, but the ultimate aim is to change the behavior through interaction. And what that emphasizes is that the style changes, because when you're a speaker and you're in front of everyone, invariably that's one-way communication. But a trainer has to adopt two-way communication. And the methods that you adopt when you're trying to do that, when you're a speaker, you're just telling them what it is that you want to tell them. And you're giving them that information, you're telling them. But a trainer has to try and do an evaluation and determine what it is that you need to know. What's the difference between what your skill level is right now and how I can elevate you to where it is I want you to be, or that I'm promising you as a result of the training. And we use different sets of tools when we're speaking. So when we're doing a normal speech, we'd use humor and anecdotes and the words to create word pictures. But when we're training, we have a whole host of other things at our disposal. We have the styles of lecture, we can do role plays, we can do exercises, we can go through case studies, and a lot more opportunity to be able to have visual aids and to be able to turn around and have Q&A type sessions. There's one last big difference between being a speaker and being a trainer, and that is, how do you know you've done a good job? If you're a speaker, what's the way in which you recognize whether or not you've done a good job? Which Zoom is pretty much messed up, if I give you a hint. No, applause. A speaker recognizes whether or not they've done a good job by the level of response from the audience. That recognition, the wave, the jazz hands, the clapping, whatever it is that actually happens. No, I'm not screen sharing. Thanks, Sue, for asking. I thought for once in my life I'd actually try and do a whole thing without actually presentation slides. But when you're a trainer, the inference is that you only know if you've actually successfully trained someone if there's behavioral change. Yeah, it's a very different set of criteria. You're trying to achieve something else. Riotous applause at the end of a training session doesn't really mean anything unless at the end of the day there's some form of behavioral change that you've been able to get. So when we talk about speakers and trainers, the overlap for us is that both of those groups are being led by you. So as a speaker or by a trainer, they're being led by you in a different way. You're presenting information, but you're presenting it in different ways. You're presenting it to entertain or inform, as opposed to be able to change someone's behavior. And both roles require something which is incredibly important, and that is that you understand all of the material before you present it. Understand the area that you're talking to. So with all of those differentiators and understanding the commonalities where these roles overlap and why one would choose to take this path, the recognition has to be that it's a purposeful choice that you are choosing to become a trainer, and that this course is one which enables you to do the practice of how to construct a course. So I'm not giving you the speaker to trainer manual course right now. All I'm doing is talking about what's actually contained within the course, should you choose to do the 4.5-hour workshop. And for those of you that are perhaps thinking of doing it, then now is a big spoiler alert. And if you want to, you can turn your speakers off as well as your video. Nope. Okay. There are 5 steps that you're taken through as part of this course. The very first step is around doing a gap analysis to determine training objectives. So this is what is recognized as being the audience that you're presenting your training to, and what is the level you wish to achieve, and how are you going to do it. Define your objectives and the way in which you're going to be able to do it. The next thing you do is create a lesson plan based around adult learning theory. And when we talk about adult learning theory, we're talking about everything from involvement to the role of praise, whether people are more driven by facts and science or by practical exercise. And that's when you need to choose your training method. So item 3, training method. And it's amusing that psychologists and thinking at the moment around how we impact people based on different training methods, and whether or not people are, we talk about them being visually or kinesthetically driven. It is about the diversity of all of those things, which is the key to people being able to understand and retain knowledge. It's not about picking one thing that one person can do. It's absolutely, Julia, it's recognizing there is a dominant style that that person has, but they learn best by being challenged outside of that style and having the variety of styles. And there's a whole branch of educational psychology now, which is looking at how that all works. But for you to recognize that, that's the important part, to be able to ensure that someone who's siloing themselves in your training can be brought out by ways that won't intimidate them. And then you have to, the final stage is evaluate the program. And it's not just evaluating what it is that you did, it's about getting an evaluation of you and you evaluating your participants, that complete triangle of being able to understand whether or not it's worked or it's not worked. And the workshop goes through explaining each of those steps, and it presents some information, and then you break out into groups and you go through exercises to present on all of that. So one piece of advice to you would be to perhaps think of a program that you're interested in trying to develop and take that with you to the work group and get people within the work group to help you develop your program, work out what the gaps are and use that as an example. I'm hoping that the slide deck that they provide with this pack is going to go through a bit of a revamp. It's one of the old style squares, lots of gold and yellow and blue. And it would be nice if they adopted the new presentations that we have in the club officer training packs. But it's not the slides that make the workshop. It's you as the presenter and you as the trainer that has the power to take the participants on a journey of adventure or of boredom. It's your choice. And it's up to your facilitation skills to make sure that that happens. A really good resource which isn't included specifically with this is the resource which is called Training Basics. I think it's 102 Training Basics, and that's in your pack as well for the resources for today. It talks a lot around how you train, why you train, and the different methods. And it talks a lot more about the pros and cons of some of those elements. Definitely something to read either in parallel or before you attend or attempt to run the program itself. I'm hoping that you've enjoyed this overview of the Success Leader and communication series, and in particular the Speaker Trainer, and that you're inspired to investigate this program as something to offer your club and your community, and to browse other offerings that help us all push beyond the boundaries of our own clubs and grow and share Toastmasters. And as always, keep calm, change is coming. And I'm going to open up to Q&A.
Terrific. Thank you, Kevin. Well, we have a good team here full of active participants. So thank you so very much for your presentation. And I'm sure there's quite a few questions. So who would like to kick it off with a question? Juliet, are you speaking? No? All right, I have a question. How many times, Kevin, have you delivered the Speaker to Trainer module for your clubs or for other events?
I've delivered it 3 times, and 2 of those were over in New Zealand, where I met a gentleman called Kevin Prohl, and he was known as K1 and I was known as K2. And it was something, he ran a business, a training business, and he was also a passionate Toastmaster. So we set up half-day training events where we took over a local community center and ran this as a whole half day. we'd go through the slides, and then we'd go through a whole series of extra trainings and provide lots of food. And it was one of those community events that people would come along that weren't Toastmasters. It was a really enjoyable experience, and particularly the breakouts. When you've got 40, 50 people in a room, the buzz of being able to go through those breakout sessions and to have that feedback, it's a very enjoyable experience.
Absolutely. Do we have any other questions from Emma? Do you have a question for Kevin in regard to speaker to trainer? Because you've delivered that one in the past.
No, I found it really interesting, challenging though. I think I found it more challenging trying to make sure I had the content that would keep everyone interested and that I could keep it flowing. But I also thought as the actual trainer, I mean, we're always told we only have to know 10% more than what our audience does. However, it was a little bit challenging at times. Maybe I might try it again in the future. I do enjoy the trainer part, but I don't have any burning questions. Always happy to talk.
I find the challenge when you get a large group, and it's a community group, not necessarily a Toastmasters group, is the range of experience is vast. And 10% more than the smartest person in the room is really what that phrase should be saying. And that's hard when you've got no idea who's coming at you with what they're talking about. Particularly now when you're presenting a program that has a very specific psychological component saying this is how people learn. And when you know yourself that that's not actually true, because the psychological research has already evolved beyond that, and being able to have those conversations is, I find, the more difficult part.
Actually, Kevin, you raised a good point there. With 10% of the smartest person in the room, I probably could have benefited from doing the speaker to trainer course a number of years ago. I should have really done it a bit earlier, because I ended up presenting a workshop a couple of years ago, and learned the hard way that because I had someone in the audience who knew a little bit more about something because she was actually studying it. So, I just picked a certain topic, and I could see that the workshop she was in wasn't for her level anyway, because she was more advanced. So I thought, why are you actually here? But she'd come because she wanted to see what it was all about and basically network. And anyway, she became the, you get the troublemakers in the group. Yep. But she did it quietly. She actually had her laptop out, and she was working, and then talking to her employee who was sitting next to her towards the end of the day, started having full-on lengthy conversations with her.
So we know that there is an actual pathway, educational, specifically around coping with your difficult audience, which I strongly recommend you do many times. Don't do it once and give up. Do it many times and get as awkward a group of members as you possibly can to practice in an environment which is a good one. But this workshop includes a section on how you deal with those audience members and what you can do to try and take them with you rather than either isolating or intimidating them. But there is nothing worse in today's day and age, with all of the technology available, that the moment you say something, someone will just go to Google, look it up, and say, oh, well, so-and-so doesn't agree.
Yes, I do remember walking into a meeting where the speaker was doing a role play on that, dealing with difficult audience, and they had people dotted around the room. And I didn't realize when I had come in that was going on. And there were two in particular that I stepped in and I said, okay, you two, you need to separate because this is not going down at this meeting. And then they informed me that eventually, after they had a good giggle on the way I was handling them, that they were doing that role play. So yeah, they did it so well. I thought it was up to their old antics, and I was separating them like naughty children.
I think you've just added another one of the disruptive roles, the do-gooder, who tries
Yes.
to step in and solve the problem.
Yes. Yes. Julia, do you have any comment on the speaker to trainer? Have you been involved with it, or any thoughts on it?
Well, no, I haven't. I find it very interesting. So yes, thank you. It's always been something that I find fascinating, is how we learn and the dominant styles of learning, and how Kevin said that basically, yes, you've got dominant styles of learning, but this isn't verbatim, Kevin, but you can learn to learn in any style. And I myself know that my dominant style is kinesthetic in most situations, but obviously I've had to learn in many other different styles, being in what I do. So I think it's really interesting for us. I'm sorry, this isn't a question. It's really interesting for us how people learn, as Toastmasters especially, that we try, we don't always succeed, but we try to keep this positive energy and positive affirmation, even with improvements. And yes, we don't always succeed, but that's our goal. And I think people learn a lot better in a positive environment. Obviously, we all have that memory of that maths teacher or the science teacher that was just berating everyone. And not many people in that class liked science or maths. So I think it's rather important.
We've touched on it in a couple of different spaces already this morning. You know, the observation around how do you deal with the person who thinks they're really good and should be in the Speakers Bureau and should be the keynote at the next conference of BI. And the beauty of a Toastmasters meeting, and the one reason why I put in my introduction the fact that I've always felt protected, is because that's what Toastmasters does for 99.9% of the population that choose to be a part of it and choose to live it the way that they do. The experiential learning, you know, I've never been part of an organization which encourages you to fail to learn. You know, that's what happens. You get given positions that you're not necessarily absolutely ready for, because they know you're going to grow and somebody's going to help you. You're asked to stand up and be nervous and expose what it is that you're trying to talk about and say to a group of people that you don't necessarily know, but you know that they're going to come back and give you some really good feedback and be able to do it. And I don't think anything beats the experiential learning model. You can wrap it up however you like, but you know, we didn't learn to walk by walking, we learned to walk by falling over, and how to stop it.
Now I noticed some screens have gone on. Do we have any questions from maybe Imtiaz? Did you have any questions in regard to speaker to trainer, or any thoughts on it?
Well, thanks, Sue, and thanks, Kevin, for that wonderful overview, nice synopsis of the speaker to trainer workshop. This is one of my favorites. I did one back in 2010, I think, when they started the whole the initiative, and it has left me with lasting memories of the basics, the fundamentals. Yeah, it is a little bit outdated. They still talk about writing on flip charts, and yeah. So, but then these can be adapted. For example, if you on your PowerPoint slide, you can apply the same formula. No more than 7 words in a line, and no more than 7 lines on a slide. Yeah, so you can always adapt to the lessons that you learn. And one of the biggest takeaways from that module was, you know, the lesson plan, in my opinion, the gap analysis followed by the lesson plan, and that you know, I always, being an engineer, maybe that's the way I've been conditioned. always begin with the end in mind. And so that really gels with my mindset. I just, no questions, sorry, just comments. And just one other thing that I would like to mention with regards to the Speakers Bureau. Many Toastmasters, they have this misconception, I would say, that the Speakers Bureau is for people who want to become trainers. And then they say, well, you have the speaker to trainer module, I've done that, so I don't think I need to be part of the Speakers Bureau. But the Speakers Bureau is a lot more than that. It's not just for people who want to become professional speakers or trainers. There is so much more. And even I think we're going to hear about the Accredited Speakers Program. I forgot to mention that during my session. You're required to do 25 speeches or sessions of a minimum of 20 minutes outside of Toastmasters to non-Toastmaster audiences. And 10 of those could be without a fee. So the Speakers Bureau offers a perfect opportunity, perfect platform for people who are aspiring to become accredited speakers to at least get 10 speaking assignments, which are not for a fee, and they'll help them qualify for the AS program. So they just thought I'd mention that. And on the whole, Kevin, I loved your presentation, and you hit on the most important points. And thank you for that.
Thank you, Imtiaz. Any other thoughts from the room in regard to our speaker to trainer session?
I would just like to make another comment. I've said this rather often, but I think it's really valuable, is that quite often we look at our mistakes the wrong way. And it's been mentioned here that you learn so much more from your mistakes than you do from your just cruising through your successes in your comfort zone. And I think as long as we're not actually making deadly mistakes or something, well, I think pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone and making these mistakes is really quite the way to go, and to revel in them, really. And because we do learn more that way.
Absolutely. Unless you're an air traffic controller, I strongly recommend learning from your mistakes.
Yeah.
And Nola, did you?
Sorry, I was just going to add, not making a mistake, not being afraid to make mistakes, to try new things and get up out of your comfort zone, I think is highly underrated.
Nola, did you have any thoughts?
I started my life failing because I was a stutterer. And so the concept of failing and not being able to read from a reader when I was asked in state school or primary school for our international guests was frightening for me. I didn't really start enjoying my life within an environment where I had to learn and then replay what I had learned. It wasn't until I was an adult and I was a guide leader. And I realised that I could speak the language of young people, and that was absolutely wonderful for me. And I stayed with that organisation, Girl Guides Victoria, as a trainer for 25 years. So I hung around until I realised I was so old that I had no idea what the groups were that the guides were talking about as their favourite bands. And I thought, I've got to get out of here because it's not the place where I need to be. And then I found Toastmasters. How lucky was I? And I have to say, I found Toastmasters because I was asked. And I think it can't be reiterated too many times that we, as Toastmasters now, and very grateful Toastmasters, we always have to be asking the questions of people we know. Would you come to a Toastmasters meeting? I knew at the first meeting that I was going to grow, but I was also going to fail. And I agree with Jules. My biggest learnings have been when I failed. And who wants to be around perfect people? I mean, I know a couple of perfect people and they're dead boring, I tell you. they're not in the least bit inspirational, and I don't envy them their perfection, can I tell you? I love people that are cracks. Isn't it the Japanese culture where if there's a cracked pot, they fill it with gold and they value that pot because of the cracks? I haven't seen any gold in my cracks, but I might look a little bit later. There might be some.
Thank you, Nola. And maybe you've got some gold teeth in there that are hiding in the back. No? Okay. All right. So if there aren't any more questions, we might wrap this session up. Any final thoughts for you, Kevin?
I just reiterate what Jules and Nola said. It's about the environment. It is absolutely around the positivity that exists within Toastmasters clubs. And it is incredibly disappointing to see what happens on social media outside of the clubs. But within the clubs, we are amazing to each other 99.9% of the time. And that's why people keep coming back. And that's why we will always continue to grow.
Terrific. Thank you, Kevin. Well, congratulations on a magnificent presentation, and we really enjoyed your session today. So hands up for Kevin. Terrific. All right. So just in the chat box throughout the day, there's been information put in there, and there are also resources that will be shared at the end of the session. So part of the resources incorporate also the feedback, and feedback is so important. Without feedback, we're unable to grow or develop, and Toastmasters is full of feedback and evaluating and all sorts of things like that. So please take that time to fill in the feedback form when it comes up in the chat box. And the files that have been shared today have just come up again from Graham. So have a look at those files, and the feedback is in the same link or the next link that he's just put in the chat box. So please engage in those as well. Before I go on to the next presenter, I'd just like to remind those in District 73 of an email that came out this morning. And that email is to do with our upcoming events, which is on the 7th of May, All Things Pathways, the 18th of June, the Contest and Judging Workshop, and of course, our Ride Our Wave, our district conference on the 13th to the 15th of May. So if anyone is interested in grabbing our background, you're welcome to share that throughout the world if you want to. We would love that. And we'll certainly put that in the chat box again for you to grab. So if you're welcome, if you want to share our conference upcoming as a background, well, as again, we'd certainly love that. So moving forward, there were some statistics that came out in that email as well, and that's very important. Did you want to say just a couple of words, Kevin, on any of those statistics that came out in the email this morning?
I'm not sure whether, hopefully there's going to be more detailed analysis of what that is, but it states what the obvious is, and that is the fact that we've had fewer people turning up for training than we've ever had before. And that's disappointing, and trying to understand why is a difficult thing, which is why the survey is included in that information, to actually try and address those Toastmasters that chose not to engage with any form of training, yet alone the club officer training. So there are specific questions in there targeted at, what was the 6 dates that we provided on different days and different times, you couldn't make one of them? Or was it because you couldn't achieve your DCP because your membership's down, you didn't see the point, or you feel you know it all? And there's a whole list of items. And by the way, if you do say you know it all, then I said, well, you need to volunteer, because you're meant to be sharing if you know it all. But the idea is to try and engage the audience that we don't have. And that feedback is just purely from those that chose to respond to the training. And when we get all that information together, then hopefully we can have a bit more of a complete picture with regards to what's going on and why people have chosen to disengage. Why what would normally be a session with 100 people on it has only got a dozen or so people popping in and out. Yeah.
Terrific. Thank you, Kevin. And a reminder that the club officer training is upcoming again in June. And a big thank you to the District Education Training and Pathways team. So regarding all of those presenters, they're listed in the email, but that's Christina Barbonio, Kevin Broughton, Graham Dunlop, Michael Clancy, Tracy Green, and myself. So we would like to thank you for engaging with this session, and we will now move on to the final presentation. Thank you for whoever's releasing it.
I'll manage it out. Sheryl apologizes. I approached her a while back about doing this session, particularly because of the accredited speaker, and I met her in Sydney convention and got on like a house on fire in terms of what it is that she was trying to do. Her energy, the sparkle is always the thing that comes up when we talk about Sheryl. And what she's done is she's pre-recorded her accredited speaker session just for us. It's for us to share on our own District 73 website, etc., just as we would have recorded it. So unfortunately, there won't be a Q&A at the end of this, although I'm sure Sheryl would welcome any questions by email, or I can help facilitate that. So I'm going to just play her recording for us.
I'd love to welcome Sheryl Roush with the Accredited Speaker Program.
Is your dream to become a paid speaker and go beyond your club? Toastmasters International has a professional speaking credential. You might already be eligible to apply. So in this very special educational session for District 73, you will understand the program rules as I provide an overview for you. You'll learn insights and suggestions to help you pass the first time and be prepared to begin the journey to professional speaking. So come along. I'm Sheryl Roush, Distinguished Toastmaster, past District Governor of District 5 in San Diego, and accredited speaker. I'm the President and CEO of Sparkle Presentations, formerly based in San Diego, California in the States. Now I'm in New York. So in Toastmasters, I joined in 1987. Yes, that's 35 years. And I earned my accredited speaker in 1993, being the youngest female ever and still to date to have earned the designation. Out of the 89 currently globally who have earned the accredited speaker designation since 1924, I was number 28 overall. World champion of public speaking, accredited speaker number 27, you might know Mr. Dana Lavon. I'm also honored to have been awarded the Presidential Citation, and I've been a certified virtual presenter for over 12 years. You might be familiar with the Heart of a Toastmaster book. I was honored to work with World Headquarters and to create this award-winning book, which received Best Anthology. Jan Vecchio has her true story published within the pages. So if you're interested in the print-on-demand or Kindle versions, you might want to capture a screenshot of this now. Or just go to Amazon, look it up, Heart of a Toastmaster. All true stories by, for, and about our fellow members. So for this education and training presentation today, it's about becoming an accredited speaker and how you can earn the professional designation. You may or may not know much about the program. The first myth for us to dispel is that it is not the next thing after you earn your Distinguished Toastmaster, although that is certainly a worthy goal. This is for professional speaking. So it's designed for professional presenters who combine their expert knowledge with mastery of the spoken word, making them sought-after experts in their respective fields. Following this presentation, there will be a facilitation regarding this topic, and I encourage the facilitators to ask these particular questions. On what topics do you currently speak on or could speak on for which you are paid or could be paid? What that comes down to, and in relevance to this particular program, is what is your subject matter expertise? What could you speak on with authority, credibility, and be compensated for it? That's what you want to think about as it relates to going for the accredited speaker professional designation. In the portal for today's event, you will find several documents, and thank you very much, Big Kev, for putting this together, that the documents for the accredited speaker program, you can either download them directly from World Headquarters, or you can go into the portal and take advantage of those there. Online, search accredited speaker. This is what the official program handbook looks like, and it is modified almost every year to keep the program very real world focused, so we continually stay with parallels of what's happening around the globe. If you're thinking about becoming an applicant or a candidate for the accredited speaker designation, a couple of things you need to know. Before applying, it's important to understand the requirements and make sure that you'll have a successful application process. As I'll share with you in these slides, it's appalling how many candidates are disqualified at the application stage. We want you to pass and pass the first time. This program recognizes speakers, presenters, lecturers, trainers who have already reached professional level status in their careers. It's not designed for those who are working toward becoming a professional level, although in the District Speakers Bureau and your advanced clubs, definitely follow the program to help you get there faster and to secure your eligibility for applying for the program. We are also available to offer mentoring services, which are complimentary, and the mentors are listed on the Toastmasters International site. So go to the main page regarding toastmasters.org and then do a search for accredited speakers. The mentoring is meant to help you with the application process and to preview the video you plan to submit with your application. It does not include coaching, which may be an additional service by that particular accredited speaker to help you in developing your speaker marketing materials, your topics, coaching on your delivery. Those are outside the realm of mentoring for the actual application process. So please value the mentor's time and make sure to read everything in the handbook before reaching out. And yes, you may have more than one mentor. How to apply? It's a basic process. You do want to follow the rules, though. Again, by missing this deadline of January 31st each application year, and by Mountain Time, which is Denver, Colorado, US, 5:00 p.m., that is a full stop type of deadline. So submit it with your completed application and the link to your qualifying video presentation. There's more details on that in the handbook. Ensure that at least five of your paying clients have submitted their letter of recommendation forms. Those are submitted directly to World Headquarters, and again, follow the email application information there. And you may have more than 5 submit. You are not to collect them. This is to be a confidential report from your clients directly to the accredited speaker staff and the accredited speaker council that then has the judges for the 2 levels of qualification in this. There's a nominal US $100 application fee for level 1. Again, there's more details inside of the handout. So regarding eligibility, as an overview to this, just like a contest, you need to be a member of a club that is in good standing, and yes, your dues must be paid. All the educational requirements, and those have recently been modified. So check the handbook for the latest. Again, you do not need to be a distinguished Toastmaster. You do need to be one of the advanced communicators, so gold, bronze, silver, and completed all pass in one level. Again, for clarification, read the handbook. There are 25 speaking engagements that you must have presented outside of Toastmasters, beyond the club, beyond the district, beyond the organization, within a period of 3 years of the date of your application. So if you were to apply January 15, which I strongly encourage not waiting until January 31. So let's say that you have 3 years from 15 January. Prior to that, those would be the 25 dates. Of those 25, 15 must be paid or compensated, and I'll give you more detail on that. The video that you submit must be, and this is critical, not edited, and at level 1, you may not use multi-camera or any additional technology. You may use a side-by-side view or with your gallery, or submit the recordings for both of those of you and your slides, but there may not be any editing whatsoever, which means no multi-camera technology. 20 minutes, no less, 60 minutes, no more. And that time does not include your proper speaker introduction, which is read prior to your presentation. So again, that's part of the entire presentation. And again, those recommendations from 5 clients. This is basic information regarding the application, information about you, your background. Again, the judges are looking for your area of expertise. What type of presentations do you give? Workshops, seminars, virtual presentations, training sessions. Consulting and coaching do not count at all. And when you're listing the fees for your speaking engagements, they may not include coaching, consulting, product sales, services, book sales, etc. No, only for the speaking portion. Now, if you do host your own public seminars, whatever the admission revenue is that you're charging per attendee, yes, you may consider that the speaking fee for that particular engagement on the application. One of the tips over here on the far right, though, is that links to your professional website and or your social media profiles, which you should have as a professional presenter. However, you cannot be denied from the accredited speaker program because you do not have them. So don't worry about that. But if you're serious about the business, you would have those anyway. Eligibility, here it is. All right, so completed all levels of a single path in the Pathways Learning Experience, earned Advanced Toastmaster Bronze or Advanced Communicator Bronze. There you go. And let's see, your 25 presentations must be to non-Toastmasters. Again, not members. So your live presentation could include, it could be hybrid, and you just want to make sure that you show the size of the audience, because yes, the judges do notice things like that. There must be at least 20 or more audience members, and the speeches must be, all of those speeches on your application must be at least 20 minutes in length. They can be longer, but that's your 2020 rule right there. Speeches, live audience, yes. And here's a couple of caveats, because some people wanted to present their application based on that they speak as part of their job, as in an in-house trainer. World Headquarters has determined that no, they may not be included unless you are self-employed. So any speech presented as part of a speaker's regular employment, as in employed by a corporation or organization, may not be included in this. However, training sessions, retreats, facilitation, all of those, yes, they can, especially if it's under your own organization. What about reimbursements, gifts, and donations? This change was accommodated just a few years ago, where speeches for which the speaker only received an expense reimbursement, including could be travel, whether it be airfare, or that you're driving your own auto, or food or lodging, or a per diem, or gosh, let's see, at religious organizations, it might be a love offering or a monetary gift or a donation. Yes, you may account for those. Out of the 25 engagements, 15 or more must be compensated. So this bullet point accommodates up to 7 of those 15 may be reimbursements. At least 8 of the paid engagements must be directly compensated for a prearranged fee. We get questions on this. Well, what does that mean? Can it be gift cards? No. If you, ideally, there is a check payable to you or your speaking business name that if you were ever asked to show proof of payment, you could. This is a good business practice anyway. So at least 8 of those paid. Set your goal though for all of them being paid, all of them outside of Toastmasters, and at least half of them being professional videotaped, because you never know which one is going to be your best to submit. That's why you want to utilize the accredited speakers as mentors to preview that video prior to it being submitted. You'd be surprised how many times that the mentors have realized that something could cause immediate disqualification, that then the speaker needed to have the next presentation videoed. Yes, it's happened. And those people have passed as a result of listening to the mentors and redoing the video. So it is critical. What are the judges looking for? Well, there's really good bullet points here. I'm going to add to this. Would I hire this speaker if I were the meeting planner or the speaker bureau or the association? Would I pay my organization's money to hire this speaker, especially the subject matter expert that commands high fees? Would I hire them? Second question, as a colleague, would I refer the speaker for a paid engagement? I want to say yes. It's like, wow, this person is so good. They know their information. They are truly subject matter experts. Would I pay to be in their audience if I'm attending a public workshop and I need to pay to register online or in person? Would I pay my own money to be in their audience to hear this message? And would I want to speak on a program with them? Would I want to be on a conference or an association meeting event with them as a professional colleague sharing the stage? This is what we're looking for. And I'm speaking on behalf of the accredited speaker colleagues. Again, follow the handbook. And after you've read everything, you have questions, then feel free to reach out. Here's another big question. How many candidates, first we get the question of how many people apply for this, because again, it's all about the education of this particular program. And thank you very much, District 73, for promoting it and the invitation to provide you this information in this session. So how many can apply? It's limitless. How many can pass? Each one. Every person can pass. Unlike the speech contest where there's only one winner. Nope, not with this application process. And it's not a comparison from one candidate to the next. No, because they each need to demonstrate their uniqueness, their topic expertise, their caliber and delivery, their style, their passion, all of that. They need to demonstrate that themselves. It's a professional designation. And here's the tough part of the 2 levels of judging. Both have 5 judges. 4 of those 5 must pass the candidate with a score of 80 or above. It's either pass or fail, no kidding, at both of the 2 levels. Wow. So level 1 is only, it's the online submission, and you could this year submit professional video single camera shoot at a live in the room in-person event. If you use slides or a flip chart or handouts, samples of each of those must be provided, because the judge wants to see everything as if they were in that room. You save your slide file as a PDF, you send it along with your application. Same thing with your handout, save it as a PDF. And if you use flip chart, you can take photos of the flip chart or get the camera operator to zoom in on those. Any other props, again, put that into the video. If it's a hybrid presentation that you're submitting for your video, then make sure to have a side-by-side view of you with your slides, and that you can pull back and do a couple of gallery shots as well, so the judges can ensure that, yes, there were at least 25 people who were in that particular audience. Now, the judges form also included in the portal for today's event. You can download a copy of this. This is the current judging form being used both for level 1 and for level 2 this year. There will be changes to both the judges form and the application next year. And again, here's that critical pass or fail. If you are using this, which I strongly suggest, for practicing at your club as you prepare to go beyond your club, then you want to be shooting for a score of 90 and higher, where there's no doubt in any audience member's mind that, yes, you should pass. This is ideal to practice, especially in advanced clubs and speaker bureau presentations, where you can practice those longer presentations. Here's a sample also from the handbook application of the actual speaking engagement list. If you have not yet started keeping track of your presentations, this is a really good time to start that. I'm thankful that when I joined Toastmasters, March 15th, 1987, then I kept track of every speaking engagement that I had. I wanted to see how I was doing, how many people were there, and developing into a professional business. Then I did something very similar to this. I used the old accountant's green ledger pad. Today I would use an Excel spreadsheet. When I saw this application, I photocopied this page and I started penciling in the information on the application so that I had all 25 of my engagements in less than the 3-year accommodation span. If you're a true professional presenter, you are going to be having 25 to 50 to 75 presentations every year, every 2 years. So if you're not doing that yet, and this is your goal, those are some numbers for you to be working toward. Every listing that goes onto this particular page, the audience must be a size of 20 or more people. So you indicate the date, the name of the client. Again, this one's going to be changing slightly again next year. The length of the presentation, again, must be more than 20, at least 20 on this particular one. And if it's 3 hours, you can indicate 3 hours. What was the fee received, and in Aussie dollars, or whatever fee that it was, and the judges can use their conversion to see, well, what might that be? Because there is intercultural denomination respect. I don't know if that's how you say that properly, but you get me, right, Aussies? So the fee in whatever denomination, in any currency that it was, and then how many people were in the audience size, and continue that list. So when you submit the actual application, you would actually type this in to the fillable PDF form. All of this is fillable, and you can go back and you can change those. For me, as a judge, I like to see these in order. So I would start with the first date, and then as it descends to the most recent date is what I would like to see. I've also seen very clever postings, though, where the candidate put the highest fees received at the top, and then toward the lower fees or any of those which were the honorariums toward the bottom. Some people go by audience size. However you choose to do it, I suggest being consistent so the judges can follow what it is that you're doing. Let me give you some of those numbers then. In 2019, there were 19 applicants. Immediately, 7 of those were disqualified for numerous reasons. That the deadline was missed, that the application was not complete, where something was missing. It could have been one of those 5 letters of recommendations. It doesn't take much, to throw this up. Missing the deadline by a day or two. And let's see, in some cases, the recordings had been edited, including laughter edited in. Yikes. Okay, no. All right. So of those, the 12 then continued to level 1 judging, where there were 2 judging teams of 5 judges each. And of those 12 then, 4 passed to level 1. Then they moved to level 2. So also the same year in 2019, there were 7 candidates live on the big stages. There were 2 rooms because there were 2 rooms, 2 huge stages, ballrooms in Denver. You might remember that, and dashing between the 2 sessions to make sure to see all 7 of the candidates because they were absolutely spectacular. So of the 7 candidates in Denver, 3 continued from level 2. Of those, there was 1 holdover from 2017. A holdover is for personal or business reasons that a candidate cannot appear at, and this was a live convention, so they needed to hold over for a year. You have 2 years options on that and make it convenient. Now you could even submit video for that. But again, that's been accommodated in the rules based on we are a virtual and hybrid world now. So there were 3 returning candidates of those 7 making their 2nd attempt. The good news is, here's the bottom line, the great results. Yay! All 7 of those passed at level 2. This was the first time ever in the history of the program since 1981 that there had been so many candidates who passed at level 2. Again, it's not a contest, it's a credential. Each of these candidates brought their subject matter expertise, their high caliber platform presentation skills, their passion, their joy, their excitement, and the audience resonated with each of them. The judges scored each of them with the pass on their judges form. One of those 7, Australia's very first accredited speaker. Yep, Greg Van Borsum. It was his 2nd attempt, by the way, and he came prepared. He was not going to take no for an answer. If you know Greg, you know exactly what I mean. He brought it. He absolutely brought the information. Each of these presenters, I noticed from being in both places at the same time, was seeing how much content they delivered and in their unique styles. Also at the same convention, Yelena Balabanova, originally from Russia and in Seattle, Washington, she is a Steinway top 10 classical pianist. She plays the keyboard and delivers presentation as it all relates. And her topic was Rhapsody in Blue. It was absolutely fantastic. Again, very different. Greg's motivational and a strong message about preventing suicide, sharing his own personal stories that still gives me goosebumps today, making a difference in people's hearts and minds, commanding standing ovations, and earning the accredited speaker professional designation. And Greg really wants some chums in Australia. We have a candidate going for the 2nd attempt this year and wish this candidate all the best. I'm not saying it on the recording. You just need to pay attention. And it's looking good. That's all I can say. So most recently then, 2020, there were 21 applicants. 3 continued to level 2. Virtual presentations were confirmed. There was 1 holdover from 2019 on his 6th attempt. This is Mohammed Ali Shukri out of Manama, Bahrain. He earned accredited speaker number 88. He candidly and transparently shares his story of why he did not pass the other times. And to break it down gently, he said it was ego. He said at one point he was arrogant. He thought that this would be easy. He found out, no, it wasn't. He reached out for mentoring and coaching. He continued to develop his subject matter expertise in the field of safety. So if you're thinking, oh, I have a really boring topic, not necessarily. If it's your subject matter expertise content, that's what the judges want to see. And Mohammed was the very first accredited speaker to earn it purely virtually. And the rules have been modified to help accommodate this new style of delivery, and he did fantastic with it. So again, virtual presentations confirmed. In 2021, there were 11 applicants, 0 disqualifications, 3 continued on to level 2. 2 of those were returning candidates, also on their second attempt, including Forrest Tuff. His second attempt here, yes, he did pass, becoming accredited speaker number 89. There will be one of those 2 returning candidates who will be a holdover into Nashville. And we're looking forward to, this is going to be a hybrid event, 2022 in Nashville, Tennessee in the United States. So I cannot give you any information regarding the current candidacy, the application process. What I can tell you is that the applications were due January 31st, that the council, the world headquarters did review the applications for their completion, where everything is there, submitted on time and everything, and then they are currently being judged. I cannot tell you how many applicants. I cannot tell you, well, I can tell you that the judging will be complete. This is April. It may already be completed at this point. The candidates will be informed of their pass or fail. I don't believe that they have been informed of that yet. And then they can start preparing for their level 2 presentation coming up in August. So again, all of this is beyond the club. Here's my suggestions if you're looking for some ideas. Again, I've been an accredited speaker for 28 years, so I'm kind of seasoned in this. And if I were you, these are some things I would do. Inside of your club, give longer presentations, 20 to 40 minutes. Use those advanced projects and utilize the time slots in your club, and also take some of these presentations outside of your club. But inside the club, use the accredited speakers judges ballot to receive feedback. Make sure that each of your audience members has a copy of it that they go through. Now, in the course of during the judging at level 2, where it is live, the judges are provided absolute silence, not one. And the reasoning for this is because this is for a professional credential, not a speech contest. Earning this designation could make or break someone's career. I can tell you that the benefits of earning it, though, are, well, let's see, I increased my fees. I have more of a global reach. It gives me credibility. Audiences listen to you when you have such a credential that out of 4.5 million members of Toastmasters that have gone through our program since 1924 in 146 countries, people kind of sit back a little bit and they go, okay, this little lady might have something to say. and they perk up and they listen. Have your audience members then provide you, here's the tough part, a pass or fail based on your presentation. When you're getting ready to submit your video with your application, have others that you revere review that potential submission. And it might be that you do a practice video, have those advanced members take a look at it, and also reach out to 2 or 3 different accredited speakers mentors. You've watched presentations by them on their website or on their YouTube, and you think, oh, my style is similar to that person. You can have more than one mentor. Have other people preview that submission, because they are going to see something you had not even considered. It's amazing what you might see. Now let's go beyond the club. At non-Toastmaster engagements, have every on-site and hybrid presentation professionally recorded as a potential submission with your application. It must be, especially at level 1, It must be single camera shoot, no editing, no additional camera angles, period. Nothing else inserted into it, and make certain that your speaker introduction is included in that single stream of video. If it's a virtual presentation, request your Zoom master to spotlight you for everyone. Mute all, then unmute you.
Thank you, Kevin, for sharing that with us. That was pretty amazing. And I really like how Sheryl used to track all of her information when she was starting to speak. I did that initially until it became a blur with too many things I was involved in. But yes, I initially tracked as well. And it was wonderful to see that the candidate she was speaking of, the trio happened to be, well, in Denver, Colorado. So Carl was there and I was there when the accredited speakers went through, and that was Greg Van Borsum. And Greg came and spoke to our district as well. So with Greg, the accredited speakers feed out back to us and we've utilised their resources. So that was 2 years ago, but seeing Greg as an accredited speaker come and speak to our district was amazing. So thank you for that. And thank you for engaging. So today we have a big thank you to Kevin for facilitating getting Sheryl across. A big thank you to Imtiaz for being such a Imtiaz for being such an engaging presenter and supporting us. He was wonderful. A big thank you to Emma for her Speechcraft, wonderful Speechcraft session. Thank you again for helping the district. And of course, Nola Sharp for her youth leadership. And a final thank you to Kevin Broughton for speaker to trainer. Not only is he part of the education and training team, but he's presented today. So a big thank you to you as well, Kevin, for helping that and supporting us. So the education and training team is a trio. It's a trio of Kevin and Graham and I. So without the three of us working together, we wouldn't have these educational resources, because it takes a mountain to run these things, and it also takes the engagement of others. So when you do come to events, please encourage others and share these resources with your teams around you, because we'd love to see more engaged in the programs on offer with Toastmasters, with District 73 in particular. So in the chat box, there are some resources that are being shared from the education and training team, and Kevin's compiled that for us, which is great. And there's the incredible feedback forms, which Graham has helped to support today as well. So there is a lot involved. We really want your feedback. We really want to hear from you and enjoy being, well, we all enjoy supporting District 73 as well as other places around the world. So today we've had Bahrain, Chile, South Australia, Victoria, and Western Australia joining us. So welcome to all of you, and thank you for joining us. Are there any comments from anyone today? And would anyone like to share any upcoming events?
I just got something. I didn't realise there was even an accredited speakers format within Toastmasters. That was really excellent until I realised the time. My computer said over 1 o'clock. I thought, geez, I've got to go because it's a 2 hours difference. When I logged off, I thought, wait a minute.
You went the other way around.
Come back. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can make a start, Daryl, if you want.
No, it'll be finished by the time you get there.
That's the idea.
So thank you also to District Director Carl Hughes, District 73 Director, for joining us today and supporting the education and training team.
Oh, pleasure. Look, it was really good. I just thanked everybody in the chat for their time and effort. It was some great sessions there. I just wish that so many more members in the district had been exposed to that, because it was quite a good learning. And as Daryl said, there was things he didn't know. And if Daryl doesn't know it, there's going to be a lot of people out there that doesn't know it, that don't know these things either. So at least we've got the recording. We just now need to do the call to action to get people to plug into that recording and watch it.
Yeah.
So well done. Well done. Thank you.
All right. So any further comments from you, Graham, our hiding Zoom master and timer?
I have no further comments. Thank you.
Terrific. All right. So please look at the chat box for the feedback. We really appreciate that, and we work behind the scenes to incorporate that into all of the education and training for District 73. So goodbye for now and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you.